Romance, pure life choices, bad life choices. Uh, that's what we're covering tonight. Hey there, and it's pretty clear I kind of fucking pre-gamed for this. Name's Adam.
Hi, my name's Big Lovin'. How you doing?
I'm Imsit, and last but not least,
There is Tech Priest, who has a much better book from Requiem that covers the same topic.
So, having me do romance at all is kind of like teaching a tapeworm how to do heart surgery, or Ethan Ralph to stay off his pills for a night. It's just not happening. It's not in the wheelhouse, you know? So, tonight, by not even popular acclaim, this was by plurality acclaim, but that's fine. People wanted this. People wanted to see this, so I'm going to show you the most inspired and most lovely. Yeah, so also I made a point to pregame a bit, and it was worth it.
Hey, what are you
The
talking about? You already have
wine.
experience with love. You already have experience with love. Remember, we did Powered by the Apocalypse, baby. All that loving in there.
All right, I was gonna save glass 3 for later, but fuck it.
So, to kind of remind the audience where we are. So, Vampire the Masquerade, beloved cult hit in the '90s. Very gothic, very punk, very nice. Then Chronicles happened, reboots the setting. I couldn't tell you exactly what people think about that. I don't know. I've had some neat ideas. So then, I don't know, whatever company, White Wolf, Paradox, whoever the fuck owns this franchise now.
Currently, it's
Like,
Renegade
okay,
Studio, which are a bunch of filthy Swedes from the great northern wastes who worship fucking chaos demons.
basically they rebooted the World of Darkness setting, and we got V5. I have never seen anything from the V5 setting. Adam has told me it gives them names. Adam, why does this give you AIDS?
Well, let's start off by showing the cover, because I probably should do that. And, graphics design is my passion.
as well as lesbians.
Of course, I mean, it can't be normal straight sex. But then again, being a vampire kind of implies you're gonna do some freaky shit, especially since we're in White Wolf territory. White Wolf and storyteller systems are full of degeneracy. And it's not just in Werewolf, don't worry. Werewolf the Apocalypse players, vampires full of them too. Ranging from the Ventrue who intentionally make it so that the thing they have to drink from is children, don't fucking ask, to people who like to turn people into furniture and just do horrible things to them. It's just there. And this is what
It
we're
has to
gonna
be
deal
said.
with.
It has to be said again and again.
And
But
don't
if you
even
play
get me
World of
started on
Darkness,
the Cenobite Toreador anti-tribute. They have such sights to show you.
said again and again. Play World of Darkness. Group of strangers. 50% chance that sexual assault will happen, whether it be upon on your character in the game or you in real life. Keep this in mind.
There's about at least a 30% chance the fat goth chick will flash her tits at you. Yeah. Or if you're really unlucky, the fat goth guy will do it. That's also pretty likely, although not as likely. Anyway, the back tagline is, can the kindred ever truly love? No, you're a horrible animated corpse powered by an unholy creature that duplicates your fucking personality.
I'm gonna go for the obvious joke. Why is she T-posing?
To assert
her dominance.
Yeah. Yeah, see, we're on the same wavelength. Three boozes in, 3 wines in, 3 dry reds, and that's where we're at.
And an echo.
For a minute there, I thought that, yeah, the chick on the bottom had like a cattail shoved up her. No, okay, that's good. That's good. We haven't gotten there yet.
And I did send you the book, the other one, if you want to take a look at that one.
So let's this is the Goofus. Let's show the Gallant. Strange Dead Love, which actually
It's
is also
classic World of
similarly weird fucking cursed.
It's early 2000 mid 2000s White Wolf art, which is we take some weird Photoshop stuff, we put some filters on it, we make it look
You know
out
it's
there,
damning when this looks better. Like they
and it
put more
somehow
effort.
looks better.
They at least
Because
ran it through a photo, not even photo. They ran it through oil painting as a mechanism. And
it'll be
then
it
let's
looks
compare.
tragic.
Well, let me ask you this: for this, or do you prefer when they just straight up steal artwork from Devil May Cry?
Let me put it like
Um,
this: Under the Vigil had an absolutely fucking amazing bit of art theft where someone for one of the conspiracies copied directly off of the cover of Devil May Cry 3, I want to say.
yeah, it was. They got in trouble for it.
Yes.
Also, for not Nito, since you mentioned that one of us sounds muffled, it's actually because the big lovin', as we call him tonight, is currently driving in the night to avoid werewolf attacks. He'll clean up when he gets home proper, so he'll sound a little bit like we put him in the back of a mafia member's car. It'll be
Nah,
fine.
we put him in the goddamn dryer. He's currently tumble drying.
So, as the Bloodstained love asks, can the kindred ever truly love?
Not really.
Can it bloom on a battlefield?
All right. Hot fucking take here, because people are going to argue about this. By the point you reach Humanity 4 or so, I would argue your ability to truly love is completely gone along with a lot of your sexuality.
No, I agree. Like that's why I said I don't think they can. Maybe the freshly turned, but like one
The
of the
freshly
things they
turned.
well, no, one of the things they kind of kept going on about and on about is, and they really show this with the Toreadors, is that you lose that kind of spark that makes humanity humanity. You're an animated shell driven by bestial hunger that just has the imitations of a personality that slowly
What about the level
degrades and
9,
rots with age.
level 9 Toreador? Still pumping his cock to hentai, though. Something to be said about that.
Oh, we
Well, that's
haven't
because he's a
gotten to the
gooner.
pervertedness, but like I said, don't mind Biggs. He's drying off from all of the werewolf blood that he got on his car.
You let me out.
No.
Not until you're fresh and clean.
But the whole point of this book is to essentially teach you how to romance from a bunch of people who are probably serial daters. So this is going to be like putting a screen door on a submarine or getting me to read a bodice ripping romance and not taking the piss out of it while drunk. 1 out of 5. 1 out of 5 grapes. No. It might be like a 2 out of 5. This is gonna be pretty mild because you can't outdo the actual player base for this fucking game. Mm. So
So we
yeah, that's Bloodstained Love. We gotta continue, unfortunately. So let's move on. And there's an entire cavalcade of people, one of which is actually tied to good old Vince Baker. You know, the pervert who wrote Apocalypse World but was too embarrassed about being a pervert, so he tried to downsell it. Yeah, there's ties to that. You can thank The Forge for further ruining the industry. Thanks, The Forge. Thanks, guy who wrote Sorcerer. God damn it.
Yeah, I swear that it is becoming the
It's
epicenter
cancer.
for all. It's the Cal Arts of RPGs.
And it's funny because, like, all this fart huffing over clicky clacky dice game, haha.
But you see, there has to be some reason why I like to play this. Something essence and to the soul,
This is the
and to the
type of
heart of
person
humanity.
who tries to write a college grade master's thesis on why the concept of playing jacks, where you bounce a ball on the ground to pick up, like, fucking caltrops, is a deep and educational game. It is the justification and the pretension of grandeur when it's not that deep. No, it's not an
Human
addition.
humans
It
like
was a non-rules. It was a non-dice system that was made by some academic guy. We actually covered it. I should have linked to it because I forgot that they were tied a little bit.
But we first begin now with a letter from Victoria Ash.
Using a letter font that you can get on most word processors nowadays.
Talking about the benefits and the joys of romance. Of that, it's great. It fills the nights when everything has become stale and boring. Of course, you do have to kill them in the end, but
My favorite part in this letter, because I read this before I started, a reminder that with age comes the power to decide who the protagonist of the story is. It can be you if you decide to play the game that way. I love this book has a bad habit of essentially proving that the people who like Vampire 5e or who playtest this stuff are incapable of separating character from themselves as a person. They're going to lie about it and use the concept of bleeding where you use your own experiences in life to sell a better performance. They're going to do that, but that's not what's happening. And this is the
which is
first of many signs that these people have main character syndrome and are the fucking equivalent to Ebola in a LARP. Actually, I love this. I love this salubri here. That expression is kind of what I felt when I decided to read a little bit of this book. I mean, admittedly, I wasn't in that much pain, but still. You know things are bad when that third eye was kind of just slapped on at the last minute.
yeah.
Same with the blood filters, honestly. This is what we call in the professional business. We had to make this. We had to make this in like 2 minutes.
But now we start with the introduction. You can't get his taste from your mind. All mortals taste different, and each have their own subtleties. It's rare to get caught in any specific flavor, and even the most delicious are just curiosities that you could pass on to an older vampire for a favor. But this one, he was different. The taste haunted you, and with the taste came everything he was. His face, his voice, his very presence. How could a mere mortal have such an effect on you? Someone who you had a random fling with for no other purpose than feeding. You met him in a hotel lobby, went up to his room, went through the motions of love, drank from him, an encounter like countless others. Only this one didn't fade from your mind with the rising of the sun. You needed to find him again. The only trouble was, on your way out, you'd met one of the anarchs who claimed the hotel as their domain. She complained you'd been feeding on their territory, and you flippantly said, "There's a pretty tasty mortal in room 521 if you're interested." You desperately hoped they weren't interested. Because
So
that
this
because that dick is yours, god damn it.
So I actually jokingly called this the smell fetish page because taste and smell are interlinked, and this has strong, creepy energy to it. Uh, Also from Ella Still 006, is there something necessarily wrong with making self-insert characters though? I always thought it was more of a matter
No.
of not trying to steal the spotlight from anyone else. No, there isn't, but one of the consequences of doing that is usually people try to use this idealized self as a power fantasy to either escape from problems they have in their life, or they usually lack the emotional fortitude to not shit up other people's games. That's
Right. Like
usually why
there's nothing
self-inserts get dunked on.
there's nothing wrong with using yourself as a basis for how you're going to like portray a character.
Like, to give you an
But when-
idea, a character that I played that was a monk actually, you know how I mentioned, it's pretty clear I have occasional like a hot temper point. One of his biggest demons was legitimately his temper. The monk constantly had to control his wrath because that was a nod to my own temperament. You can use yourself as the basis of things. It's just whether or not you're smart enough, and by smart enough I mean emotionally mature enough not to shut up other people's experience. That
Right.
that
It's a
that's my
fine
take.
line.
And I think these people kind of cross over into it because in my experience the people on the LARP scenes are very notorious for main character syndrome.
I mean, that's LARPing in general. Those people are kind of crazy.
Yeah. especially vampire. Well, not just vampire. Like in general, White Wolf LARPers are fucking a class of their own. Holy shit.
Now, don't get me wrong, LARPs can be fun, but there's certain people in the scene that take it way too fucking seriously. Just
Or get
way
very
too fucking
angry.
seriously.
Or get very angry when their plans get countered or dealt with things. And
Right.
also, yeah, Scroll Killer says it best. Do not let game interaction bleed into real life. And what this book is advocating is, let me just. There's literally one of the first paragraphs in here talks about how it's you as a person. Not in
Yes,
this one,
you
but
are the center of your romance if you choose.
yeah, you, not the character, not the character, you.
So why the focus of this book is in romance that your character is part of.
The beauty of role-playing games is all of this happens to you, or to your character to be precise. More about emotional bleed, which was only brought up to justify this kind of weird aspect to things. You don't have to watch a perfect Hollywood couple fall in love, says people who probably are serial daters. You can have your character fall for someone and experience it directly through them. That's why the focus in this book is serial dating, because these people do not understand how a relationship evolves. Or in the case of Vampire, how it's going to be doomed to failure as your humanity degrades and rots, and your desire
Well, yes.
for attachment becomes control.
Yes, they say. They're often tragic protagonists of doomed love stories.
Yes, and
And I mean,
I think
it has always been the case.
Yeah.
Right. There's fucking Carmilla, right?
Like, I would be honest to say, if you play Vampire as, fucking Edward Cullen, you're doing it wrong.
I don't know. I mean, you're doing something interesting for yourself, but yeah, you're not doing it right. Especially in this game.
You're not quite getting the vibe they're trying to lay down.
And that's the thing.
I mean,
that's the damning thing about this. At its core, this book makes sense to actually make as a concept. They've done it before. I showed the cover for what was called Strange Dead Love.
Strange Dead Love, which is actually a good solid book about this sort of shit.
It's also
like,
one-third the page length.
It's 1/3 the page count, and it doesn't devote itself to a bunch of like artistic stuff in it. No, it's basically all words.
Pseudo-artistic. The delusion that you're making something transformative.
No, I mean, like, there's not really any art inside of it.
Fair enough. But yeah, that's the thing with the vampires, is that it's tragic because ultimately you're a soulless monstrosity that's animated by a hunger.
Yeah, and take a look at the introduction change.
Oh wait, no, there's the content warning, which I think is completely pointless because these are the same sorts of people that turn people into furniture.
But yes, you have to be aware that you'll find references to unequal power dynamics, unnatural age differences, gaslighting, sex, kink, BDSM, drugs, alcohol, other substances, self-harm, and suicide.
So one of the things about this one is that what I always find funny is whenever they highlight BDSM, because you know what I have to say from now on in RPG books? So you're also a fan of Vince Baker, huh? Because at this point, pretty much every creator in the industry, as far as I can tell, is into some sort of fucking bondage clown shittery, and are gonna shove it down your throat one way or the other. And without the consent forms. That's actually why they introduced those.
But so many of the topics of vampire and romance, there's the dark romance of it, the ability to be free from fear. It means you could take on stupid risks, flirt with violent killers, because as we all know, ladies love serial killers.
Well, I mean, this is a combination of I can fix him, but without the my life is ruined and I'm trapped, and or about to be torn apart into bloody chunks and thrown throughout the states, becoming a documentary case for, you know, those true crime documentaries. I don't want to become one of the people in that.
Oh, don't worry. If you are playing as a Zamacy, then yes, you literally can fix him.
Yeah, that one has a lot of power potential to do awful. Same with Toreadors too, by the way, because of their artistic fling.
You know, the fact that you can experiment with old age, love triangles, all this sort of stuff. Go
Which,
wild.
no shit. No shit. This is one of the problems that I'm going to run into in this book is this book is going to prove why there is no point in writing it the way they did. There's almost I don't know how much there is going to be able to be mined from this, but I don't expect a lot.
But then we have the most important concept with this, the blood bond.
Oh, you're not going to cover they actually reference the Ashira, the Muslim vampire order.
It was a vermilion wet. It's a blood bond that's taken ceremonially.
You know, Adam, that actually raises a good point of what you said. You probably get the same results and feelings by reading fanfiction from fucking archive of our own compared to this shit.
Yeah, honestly, you'd get better dating advice from Archive of Our Own than here. That's saying a lot.
So, the concept of the blood bond is this. It's that feeding on a vampire's blood gets you attached to them.
Well,
Now, as
that's a very interesting way of saying you're basically doped to the gills on supernatural attachment. Like it's more of an obsession. Like the older books really hammer home that it's not healthy. It's an obsessive. It's like stalking. Like you're given this compulsion to stalk slash obsess over. It's not ever healthy. And they point out that people use their blood to make others into their thralls. It's also how ghouls are made.
hey, listen, some people have that kink. Don't kink shame.
I'm just envisioning Ricky Rackets as a ghoul, and it fits so well.
Oh, it fit. Oh, yeah. Um,
That addiction aspect, because that's the other thing. It's
I,
basically like taking super coke.
and it adds tension to
Vampire,
sex and intimacy. Among kindred, this takes the
Vampire
form of.
Master was the Jamaican.
What now? The dryer's
Is
spinning up.
Vampire
What?
Master is his Vampire Master one of the Jamaicans?
Possibly. Or it might just be an actual coke demon that's taking him over. But
It was probably
again,
this. It was probably the ceiling cat or the corner demon.
so again, there's always the sexual thrill of taking the blood from a glass and drinking it, or when the passions are roiling hot and you want nothing to do but sink your fangs in the neck of your lover so they can feel the dizzying taste on your tongue.
So,
But you gotta remember one thing: safe sex is a thing, even among the dead. Wear rubbers on your teeth.
On
really,
your teeth.
they actually
You don't
do
want
it.
you don't want to spread blood AIDS.
Well, you gotta keep in mind that like this is like a. It's weird that they're trying to condone hedonism, but they still don't understand that these are also the same sorts that would probably just raw dog.
Oh yeah, actually you gotta think how many fucking venereal diseases does a vampire have?
A lot.
They can have a horrible amount. They could also have a lot of other diseases just kind of stuck in their body that's blood transmitted. I don't understand. I keep
Uh,
giving people rabies. It's because you drank a rabid dog when you first turned, you idiot.
Fucking fifth generation vampire that has like the black plague on him still.
That has happened. Yes.
Despite constant Camarilla propaganda, though, the blood bond is not eternal or invalid.
By the way, if
A
you're
few
wondering,
rare mortals and
for those who are not familiar with Vampire 5e, because the companies tried to shove you out for being a grog, so they kind of pivoted back to the very early first edition where they expected you to play anarchs. So that's why they're playing it more like, oh yeah, the Camarilla are the bad guys. Just as a heads up for those who are not in the loop.
also, the blood bond tends to fade in time if it's not reinforced, much like a drug.
Yeah, it's to the point where you often crave for it, Jones for it, and just lose your fucking mind. There have actually been scenarios where not just ghouls, but those who have been blood bonded just capture and essentially misery you, where they intentionally break and bind you or stake you, so they could just fucking turn you into a blood bag. And
But
they
then
actually point that out at the end. A suitably deranged
Yeah.
bloodbound mortal can actually do this, and that is actually the source for Hunter conspiracy, I think.
former ghouls, I believe.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Also, you gotta love that they had to point out that safe sex is a thing even among the dead.
you have to ask consent to be an eternal slave. Listen, if it works in gore, it can work in vampire.
By the way, this is where the book disagrees with you and iTech, where they say that low humanity vampires are still capable of love.
What?
At the lowest levels, from
Oh
1 to 4, you
God.
come across as off-putting to mortals, and it's difficult to engage in romantic pursuits, at least if you wish to be charming and seductive. But that doesn't mean that
That
romance is
just
to be
means you're
boldly...
autistic.
Well, no, not exactly that. Imagine. Well, I guess in a way, yeah.
Yeah, you're
It's
like,
imagine.
no, yes.
Listen, it would be like any of us trying to seduce like a fucking woman that has no idea about like any of this. It's like, hey, do you want to see my Warhammer collection?
Do you want to see the miniature figurines that I paint on my weekends?
You say that, but you might actually get a bite, though. You might get more of a chance of a bite
If
than...
you, I will say this from a bit of experience. If you say it's miniatures, if you don't say Warhammer, because they
Well, no
understand
shit.
painting.
Yeah, like that. If it's just miniatures, it's a quirky little hobby. If it's Warhammer, it's like, oh, dude, this guy is a fucking loser.
I'm just imagining, the level humanity one Zamichi that turned like the woman that he was fucking stalking to like a chair. Said, "I love you,
No,
chair."
no. Are you? Do you want to know what's worse? All right. So the first edition Samisi clan book had a talk about a Samis that. Look, there was a young girl he was interested in, and he turned her into gloves.
So he could always be inside her. Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if that's not love, then I don't know what it is. Love is love.
do remember, Path of the Beast, not Path of Humanity.
Yeah, but still.
I'm just envisioning the Humanity One Nosferatu who just legitimately watches the person that they're stalking pee.
The humanity,
And
low
laps it
humanity
up.
Nosferatu is, oh no, no.
Say what? Because you're basically a fucking animal at that point.
Jumps into bugs, like uses animalism to watch through the eyes of their insects and rat friends.
Moving
There's
on.
something really deeply unsettling about the idea of a low humanity Nosferatu with the hots for someone.
I think I just came up with an interesting character you could use in your chronicle.
I do
mean,
want
you call him interesting. I call him a sex offender.
Well, yeah, because the whole point is you're probably going to kill him. Ideally, you get ordered by the primogeniture of the fucking Nos to get rid of the freak.
I mean, I guess it's the plot to the most modern Nosferatu movie, but still, bro, like, no.
I mean, it could be worse. You could be the gangrel hiding in the dirt outside of the garden.
The gangrel,
more like cat.
And it turns out they're both.
I'm inside your dirt, love.
They're both stalking.
Cat
They're both
Orlock.
stalking the same woman, and then they're fighting it. And the one calls in, animal control. I got two wild animals attacking each other.
My God.
Cat Orlock. More like
and then you see the animal control. He takes one look. He kind of blinks his eyes.
Ma'am, those ain't no mangy raccoons.
Not Nino has the winner. Low humanity Nos would just live as the tapeworm inside their crush.
Oh.
Victory.
No.
Total not Nino victory.
Oh no. No.
I like how you're more fucked up by this book and the discussion than I am. Then again, I knew what I was getting into.
Well, don't worry. There'll be something more horrifying, because at the end of this book, we will talk about alternate modes of play, such as by TikTok.
For a minute there, I thought you said we were gonna stalk. Like what? We were gonna stalk.
We are going to stalk whoever wrote this book and tell them they need to fucking stop.
Imagine a gangrel
It's-
is their pet cat. Yeah, you could totally. You could
Oh
go
no,
weird.
no! A gangrel gets a crush on a horse girl.
Oh no!
Your resistance only makes me want you more.
Oh no!
Your resistance only makes me harder. That's the line.
Yeah,
No, he's stalking Vaush.
that's even funnier. Oh, and don't get me started on the Lasombra who intentionally ruins your life because they love you and want you to live with them forever. Because
I mean,
remember,
that's
that's how the
right.
Lasombra induct their own.
Right, because Laura Somber are all fucking psychotic sociopathic assholes.
Yeah, like I said, werewolf may be where the freak flags fly highest, but no, vampires, if you think about it, can match them. They can match their crazy.
Vampires are that kind of girl, you know, the goth girl that owns a bunch of leeches and puts bows on them and calls them things like Pinky.
That actually
That's
sounds
the
amazing.
kind of shit.
Also, Dark Sun. No,
I've
I'm not
seen
joking.
that video. I'm
I'm
not
not
joking. Somebody actually did that, and I'm like, okay.
That's
On a
And I am
level
not-
of,
and I am
I
not
don't know
joking.
if, like, that's the point where it's like, I'm not sure if I should be turned on or really fucking concerned.
Well, think about it like this: if you ever have varicose veins, or like you like accidentally get a blood clot, she could help you with Pinky.
I know, but it's like I'm not quite sure if I should be at the level of this is going to be kinky as shit, or I'm going to need a goddamn hospital.
The Lasombra
But-
are just your average Latina. I'm just envisioning this Lasombra Madre with like the infamous triple shoe beating, her shadow holding the third shoe.
Yeah, somehow she has beat you with 3 of La Chansala, the most powerful weapon known to man.
Oh man. Oh yeah, so
But-
this book is trying to pretend it's a toolbox because Renegade likes to wear the. I mean, thinking about it, this is again fitting for vampire. Like, I'm going to be inside you. I'm wearing your skin, Onyx Path. We are one. Because they're
We are
gonna make
all-
this a toolbox.
We are all one, I guess. Okay.
Also, maybe some AI ass art because that don't touch my. Who dropped it?
I believe Big.
The
Oh
tumble dryer
shit, he's
ate him.
loose. He's loose.
Oh, nope, the tumble dryer is back in action, boys.
Containment successful.
But we do need to now talk about what bleed is, because that's
Bleed
how
is a
you play
concept.
romance.
But, okay, bleed is a concept that it does exist.
Also,
yes, I
most
know.
of the relationships are going to be capital Q queer, to
Well, it's
get more
vampire.
attention.
I mean,
well,
you're
no, to get more
vampires.
attention.
It's still vampire though.
It's going to be queer in the sense of it's odd, not necessarily queer in the sense of it's gay.
And wh-
Because you're a
and
fucking
technically,
vampire.
technically it is because it is. No matter what it is necrophilia.
That is true. It is by definition necrophilia.
Which actually
So-
means that it can't be rape if they're dead.
Huh?
Well, they're undead.
That's an old
Yeah,
that's a
they can't-
classic shit post.
I know it's a classic shitpost, but like when we're talking actual, all right.
Okay, imagine the ghoul manages
is
to turn
illegal?
one over.
How? Okay, could you theoretically, if it's a corpse, would it be just rape or would it be necrophilia if you raped a vampire?
Technically, vampires have the ability to give consent,
Right,
which means
but they're still already dead, which makes it necrophilia, not rape, right?
Okay, hear me out. I have an excellent idea for a hunter conspiracy. Hear me out. It is the secret department of the police that deals with interesting cases, which includes fucked up things like domestic disputes between vampires and their ghoul chattel. And this becomes a conversation where it's like, look, man, I don't know what to call this in, Chief, because technically,
is this rape or is this
necrophilia? Is this rape? What is this? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just imagining this fat Boston cop with a donut going like, "Look, yeah, she says she's
Look, I'm on
300
the
years
south
old, but
side.
she
I'm,
looks
I'm in the south
16.
side with a bunch of guys, and this is weird even for us,
Is this
Chase.
statutory rape if she, because she had the guy fucked her, right? And she looked 16 and said she was 16, but her birth certificate says she's 300. so I don't know what we booked the guy on, boss.
For the background, you got Avenshu playing Bad Boys, Bad Boys.
Bad
What
boys,
you
what you gonna do?
No. You have the Nosferatu cameraman, like the high generation Nosferatu cameraman who's always invisible,
Oh my god.
filming it.
You can tell that we don't want to review this because we're talking about everything about the book.
we need to go into the concept of bleed, and it is important to note. So bleed as a concept is a type of damage that you have in Dark Souls. Now it builds up over time, but eventually leads to a large gap in or a large damage reduction. It's very good in Elden Ring because it goes off of a percentage of the enemy's health, not just a
And
blanket amount.
And
as
it
we
can
all know,
stack.
Elden Ring is based on the fantastic 1977, role-playing game RuneQuest, which was started by Steve Perrin and based in the world of Glorantha by Greg Stafford. Once
And Greg
again, we have
Stafford got his inspiration from studying ancient Indo-European legends, such as the concept of slaying a great worm from a hero figure, solar deities, as well as thunder. Anyway, yeah, bleed is the idea that you and the character sync and empathize because some of the traits of you bleed into the character you make.
Coined
I demonstrated this with I had an elf monk whose big vice was wrath, and that was based on my own rather quick temper. That would be an example of bleed, where a little bit of myself bleeds through the character.
Bleed is a natural part of being an actor.
There's a reason Jack Nicholson constantly plays crazy people, because he's very good at acting crazy.
Or a better example is actually Marlon Brando in The Godfather.
I would have said Jim Carrey because of his bipolar.
Jim Carrey is a great one, but if we're going for like more actors that really put their own spin on like the bleed over from the actor into the character,
Yeah,
a lot
Brando's
of
notorious for that because he's just
Brando
such an ass.
Yes, Brando has a very specific way that he acts, both acting and in real life. Brando is a very contentious figure among a lot of people.
This was designed by Emily Cairboss, the most Kojima-sounding name I could think of. And she is actually connected to Vincent Baker, the guy who made Apocalypse World.
He also made Dogs in the Vineyard, but if you're wondering, that was too Christ-pilled, so what he did was he prevented publications of it after he made Apocalypse World.
Wait, Tech Priest, what about the bipolar acting of Jared Leto? Where does he fit in all this? He also has a love cult, too. That's relevant.
He's actually a modern example of bleed.
Leto is a bit different than bleed in that it's a reverse for him. Leto is a very weird methodish actor.
Wait, is Jared Leto just a Promethean gone rogue?
I would not be surprised.
Like, is he a
Egalitarian
that went rogue?
Like, the thing with Leto is that Leto, rather than doing the my personality overwrites into that, is that his is kind of the reverse. Whenever he's filming, the personality starts to bleed over into him. And that can lead to some very awkward things.
So anyway, this person, what happened is they were also on the Forge, and what the Forge is, for those wondering, is it was an RPG forum where a bunch of not high off their ass in terms of drugs, but like high off their ass in terms of self-importance developers essentially tried to intellectualize their way into a position of superiority over the chattel that they command as players. I'm sorry, but like when you compare yourself to Greek gods, I'm not even kidding. There are some posts like that. You're gonna get some flack. I'm gonna make fun of you a bit. But anyway, this is where she comes in, and she comes up with the idea of character bleed, which is not a new idea. This is just repurposing it to RPGs.
And it just overall seems it's just emotion. It's just being emotion and attaching emotion to a character. Like, this whole section is about how to calibrate that and be safe with it. And it's just...
This would be like another character that would be an example of this that I've played is a curmudgeonly completely almost nonverbal dwarf who specialized in summoning creatures because he was easy to play. All I could just do is and that would be the character because I was exhausted during those game nights. That's another example of bleed. My antics as the person shaped the character. That's what they're kind of saying. It's a case of no shit, but it also is a case of you accidentally become the character, which can lead to some very bad things. Because let's say, for example, the storyteller criticizes the character for a behavior. Like, you get punished for an action that the character does. You piss off the sheriff and they get the bucket of fingers treatment.
And
Yeah.
remember this. This is also romance. So how do you play with sex and intimacy then?
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why when we look at portraying this stuff in role-playing games, a lot of people back off is because there can be that bleed over. And it's very uncomfortable for
It
a
has
lot of people.
happened, like, it's a very common RPG horror story for a reason.
Yeah,
Well, not
it's
even that for me. More for me, it's like, doing sex role plays when you're a bunch of fat, slovenly weirdos, just describing how you're going balls deep in someone. It's an experience I do not want to have in my life ever. Please, thank you.
right. But it's less that and more the emotional intimacy aspect of it for a lot of people.
Because let's be honest, these are nerds.
Right.
Nerds are not attractive.
No, it's not even that. It's that it's an uncomfortable feeling when someone has an emotional attachment to you and you do not reciprocate.
And I hate
It would be
nerds
the
more than I hate
equivalent.
mad agents.
It would be the equivalent, for example, after playing a nice rousing game of Glorantha and I start acting creepy towards, say, one of the players in that group. Let's say it's the
There,
Stormbolt player. I'd be deservedly killed, but that would fucking weird out the entire table. Or in the long running group I play with, this would be like me having a character creep on another person's character and like try to do things with them in that way. It just completely can fuck over relationships by doing this.
there are plenty of RPG horror stories about that actually happening.
Even if I mean nothing out of it, it could just change the dynamics because it's making them uncomfortable and they're less likely to want to talk to you, you know?
Yes. Well, after talking about the bleed, they go into creating a troop for this, the preferences of
Bleed, more
people,
like brain bleed.
um, the which they even have here. A player who's long entertained the fantasy of a secret vampire level takes to a mysterious and initially foreboding Zemisi. That's a problem character right there.
Well, before you do that, let's so for playing for bleed, some of the things they suggest is making an unrelatable character, which that can actually be really fun. One of the if you're a fan of old time stories, one of the more fun ones involving Shadowrun involves a character. It was called Shadowrun Storytime. It was a series. One of the characters in there who was a black hat it was a black hat mage who had a compact with like the antagonist or whatever. That was played by a by a youth pastor or something, like some sort of Christian missionary guy. And he did it specifically to get into the head of like an irredeemably evil piece of shit.
It goes further. He started to go into actually studying the patterns of serial killers and imitating them in the game.
Because he wanted to try to understand what a person like that would be like to actually function as a person.
Which actors do that. You're trying to get into the character. You want to portray them as best you can.
And that's why some people will actually try to play certain roles that they are not suited to at all, just to see what it would be like.
And sometimes as somebody put it, roleplay is actually an excellent way to explore mental thinking you normally would never be able to. Remember, it's not considered ethical to murder people, but half the stuff that someone will do in a role playing game is I wish to kill the guard and steal all the shit.
Although it is damning, the first thing they mention is familiarity. That's kind
Yeah,
of damning.
that can be part of it.
I just think, in terms of what you list
Well,
first,
this was to maximize bleed.
Sorry, I just wanted to show that. Where's the Simishi being problematic? Is it
That's
calibration?
no, that's I believe in the preferences section, page 24.
Oh, okay. I'm behind you guys a bit. Sorry.
Nah, I just feel like we've already gone over the bleed section.
No, preferences. Here we go. So yeah, this is the other aspect. So sometimes by doing romance, you kind of make other people at the table uncomfortable. Like let's say for example, I just decide to bust out all of a sudden. Oh yeah, by the way, here's a gay love story for you. Would that probably throw you guys off?
Well,
It
considering
did.
we're playing,
It was
we'd be
called The
playing.
Last of Us, episode 3.
Well, so considering we'd be playing what? Warhammer 40K,
Yeah,
Death Watch.
like let's say we're doing Death Watch, and I just kind of fucking crack that out of for no reason in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, probably shouldn't do that.
And what this book is trying to advocate is, so they mention bleed, and they kind of put playing different characters that are different to you kind of to the side, because they're going, yeah, you're gonna want to play yourself. Basically, you're gonna want to play yourself because you can only identify, because these are the people that also think things like the storyteller system is too hard for people. This is why they hate mechanics.
This is more they want to
Well,
maximize
no,
the
because the
bleed, that
character.
maximize the emotional investment, and that's just like, all right, you're asking for fucking trouble here.
Well, it's also just you're trying, because they mention a gay player will probably try to do a gay romance. By doing this,
Fair.
you're boiling down and kind of showing the shallowness of you as a person when writing this
I mean,
a little bit.
that's not really being shallow. That's just kind of a tendency for people. Usually,
It is a
sexual
tendency.
orientation
No,
is part
it
of
is
it.
a tendency, but I'm just the reason I'm saying it is because of the idea that it's because it kind of leans into the whole I can only identify with a character I play if they're exactly like me. That's why I brought it
Yeah.
up. Yes, you're going to be more likely to do this. Like if you're playing, like if you're a gay person or a lesbian, you're more likely to make your character that orientation too. You're also more likely to play the gender you are. That's just straight up the case.
Yeah, that
But it's one thing to observe that, and it's another to kind of overdo it, which I think this book is doing a little bit. A little bit.
I do like what Not says. Congratulations, you played yourself.
Essentially.
But they do make a point of like if a storyteller's trying to make a romantic play for a player that they assumed was gay, but then later turns out that the player is straight. That's
Whoops.
Come
awkward.
off. Yeah. And this is one of the reasons why,
It's like you're not
again,
gay.
Oh god,
is
there's a part in this that basically is, yeah, I use role playing as a struggle session to find out my orientation. Which, yeah, you could do that, but it makes everyone else really fucking uncomfortable.
unless they're in on it, yeah.
If they're
Like
in
that,
on it, or if you bring it up first, but god damn, no, that's not
right.
what you do.
Right. That's the thing of like, yes, we are creating a safe environment for all of this, but that doesn't necessarily mean
We want to know everything about you.
right.
Just, I'm sorry, you could just
We're
talk
we're
with
still
the
here to play a
person
game.
out of game. Yeah, just talk with us out of game, man. Or if you want to play with the idea, talk with us first, and then we can do it. Not a big deal.
Yeah. It's if you jump that on everyone is when it becomes a problem. Again, session 0 people.
This actually reminds me of one of the more interesting horror stories where a dude tried to come out as a furry. I think it was a Warhammer related game. And the
Oh,
character
the one
gets
with the
destroyed.
cats?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You're vermin, all of you vermin, get the fuck out of my shop, or whatever the fuck it was.
I could do every
But
combination of uncomfortable relationship dynamic to maximize the discomfort of the group. You could.
Yeah, honestly, that would be actually the most interesting way to play a romance game with vampire. Would be, we are going to make the most toxic fucking relationships possible. Like Korean romance novels ain't got shit on this
Okay, I can
levels
tell
of
you right
toxic
now.
romance.
Okay, hear me out. a slightly lower generation vampire. We're talking like 12th or 11th gen. Not like massively.
Okay.
Been around for a few decades. Absolutely whipped by the ghoul they embraced a couple of years ago, and playing it off of the iDub situation,
Oh,
where just this person in a position of power who has completely lost it just because of the weird fucking obsessive fascination they have towards their new plaything.
It reminds me of how the one guy
Where the
was like, there are no
captor has become the
voluntary.
captive, yeah.
No, there are no voluntary hierarchies in nature. And someone's like, what about femdom?
But like to the
All of
point where
anarcho-capitalist theory thrown out by a single fucking.
But no, it's to the point where every aspect of this guy's standing, this vampire standing in society, is being destroyed by this ghoul. Like like respect, situation, assets. It's like a dumpster fire.
I mean, this is why, as somebody said, and I hate to agree with random fucking YouTube player posters and shit like that. The best example for the best example for vampire games is not like Anne Rice or whatever else. It's go watch the fucking Sopranos. Go watch like Goodfellas.
Unless you're Italian American, in which case don't, because otherwise you're gonna start acting like Tony, and I'm gonna have to.
Hey, I'm walking here.
I'm gonna have to embarrass you.
Yeah.
The Sopranos ruined an entire generation of Italian
Americans. It kind of did, but hey, we got some of the best television ever out of it, so I can't be that mad.
It also had one of the most blue-balled endings ever.
Well, the ending is implying that he got fucking killed.
Yes.
Anyway,
spoilers for people who have not watched a series that is over 20 years.
The ending is ambiguous, but you can interpret it however the fuck you want to. But it's like, yeah, probably he got whacked.
But now we move on to character creation, and they go through it with obviously a slant of if you're trying to be perhaps more social, obviously pick more social attributes.
So this
if
is
you want a specific romance.
Fucking shock.
So just very quickly, this just again shows that the people that are caretaking for this are LARPing trash that don't know the mechanics and systems. I'm sorry, but they don't. This is the same problem they had in In Memoriam, and it's going to be a problem with them until they're given other people that know their shit.
They even put down the character option of being a serial dater,
which is probably their main experience in life.
The tragedy of undeath, being an egotist. Then we get to a section on sort of how the clans, or how different clans view, I guess, romance.
Which could be interesting. This might be one of the few parts of the book that you might want to mine. Maybe
it's from an in-person perspective, as in it's a brief statement.
Oh, that's lame. Oh, you had potential, and this is what you did.
Do you want them to do what they've done before, and go into the details of the sex lives of changelings?
I mean, it would at least force them. It would at least force them to think it through more than this.
Old World had that.
I'm not demanding much, but you could have at least had 2 or 3 per clan.
I guess also they give you then various actions you can do in pursuit of romance. Break someone's heart, cheating on them,
Look at
flirting.
This lack of effort. Look at this. This is such a disappointment.
Should we look at the other better book?
No, because that's a bait and switch. What do you think we are, scammers?
Yes.
Correct. We're going to look at Strange Dead Love now. I'm kidding. Don't worry. We'll do a little bit of it near the end.
Perhaps ghosting somebody, which, considering there are necromancers, that's an interesting prospect.
That's a funny idea. I'm just envisioning ghosting being very different when the Giovanni do it, where it's like, oh, you're supposed to completely ignore them.
The Giovanni are too busy fucking their sister, so.
No, I thought it was supposed to ignore him. Like I thought you were supposed to send ghosts to serenade your sweet niece. What? Yeah, that's what ghosting is. You send your ghost servants to like woo them, right? No. What's it actually mean? Oh, that's lame.
There's also getting involved, so playing as a wingman or a matchmaker, or trying
Now,
to actually sabotage a romance.
now that actually sounds like a campaign and a half. Is you are assigned by the prince to try to end the sex life of another vampire because the prince doesn't like them.
That's funny.
Like imagine being that fucking petty of a prince where you're like, I have these fledglings that I need to keep busy. I know, I'm gonna have them torment one of my rivals and ruin his dates.
I just really hate it that I mean, look, I know sex is like a tool to get blood, but at the same time too, like they're making a whole big deal out of sex when like blood's your new sex. I hate it. I really fucking
Well,
Well,
hate it.
it's a romance. Romance is a human thing. Feeding is a vampire thing.
And even
right.
then, feeding can
Somebody
be
put it.
quite intimate because, like, besides certain clans and flaws like the Giovanni got, it's essentially extremely intimate to both because the vampire gets that raw power and just the flow, and
You
the
are
person
you are
himself is also,
you
yeah.
you are sharing an important fluid of life.
There's a very sexual nature about feeding, and I mean it kind of comes down to the fact that it's basically penetration.
So now we move into
I
yeah.
I just
I'm saying
yeah.
realized that the ones with blunted teeth that have to use toys. Because that's what the
This is
knives
this
are.
is
Those
the
are
this
toys.
this is the chindo.
Oh no. But no, like I think so. You can put it like this: once you hit about humanity 4 or 3 is when your sexuality is going to basically leave the table when it comes to feeding.
Blood's a goal.
You will suck dick for blood because it doesn't fucking matter at that point because you're done dead. Your body is literally just a lump of flesh. The beast is just like whatever gets their clothes off so I can bite down and drain them dry.
And again, your personality is so rotted and decayed at this point. Like your sanity is so fucking fried. It's essentially like, you ever know people that have taken one hit of LSD or acids and it just goes horribly wrong for the rest of their life? That's
It's more
kind of
like
what low humanity does to your personality.
the way that I would put it is this is the worst goddamn crack addict you will ever meet.
These are the ones that will harass you for chicken nuggets.
Right. In this case, chicken nuggets is blood. They
Right.
will offer to suck your dick for chicken nuggets and a little bit of crack.
Or at least $1.
And at least $1. You know, like that's the sort of
This is the
fucking
homeless man that you can bribe with $1 to eat bricks.
right. That's the level of necessity of blood is. That's the level of addiction you're at like low humanity of like you're actively planning you know the old fucking there was an old fucking anti-drug commercial about a guy that was going there to go to work to get drugs to I use coke to be better at work so I can buy more coke to be better at work so I
I
can buy
think
more
I've
coke.
I think I've seen that
Yeah,
Yep.
it's like that.
By the way,
because that
Nito is very accurate. Feeding is like mainlining heroin-laced splooge. Yeah.
but to go on to the next section, which is now storytelling romance.
So far, I would say not a single page of this is worth anything, just to let you know.
And the first thing they bring up, obviously, is the classic romance tropes.
I mean, yeah, you kind of have to.
You have lover's
By
triangle,
the way, I hate these fucking hipster goddamn
Yeah.
dresses that they're all wearing. It looks awful.
like enemies to lovers, forbidden
just
love, all
it
that
really
stuff.
is like my shitty Korean romance novels.
It's basically, this is a crappy writer's workshop disguised as a book.
I mean, yeah, like do you not understand the genre that this is in?
Like they give an example. They give an example of this for the love triangle. Two sisters were embraced at the same time, swore never to let anyone come between them. One of them, someone gets to know them individually and happens to fall in love with them both. Makes the difficult choice where to end it with one start relationship with the other, but as soon as she's done, the truth comes out. Now neither sister wants to let go, and The person
You
has.
guys remember back in the 90s when in Werewolf you could be a glasswalker, a cybernetically augmented werewolf, and have like a giant fuck huge cannon and attack an oil rig owned by Pentex and fight the oil demon?
Yeah, it was
Remember
great.
when we could do that?
That was great. This is
Yeah,
crap.
well, that's werewolf. This is vampire.
Vampire is usually a
I
lot
don't
more
like-
cool than this. Because, like, I'm gonna be frank, this is crap. This is
This
Yeah.
is like
garbage.
Adam. Be honest with me. Are we in True Neighbor territory? Because I want to say True Neighbor territory.
I mean, I'm not offended at it, but that
Hold
might
your
be because
judgment
of
until you see the other book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna be real with you right now. I'm inhibited by I think 3 glasses now.
We do have them though on page. What is
Whew.
it? 42, ripping off the Devil's Alley from Tropic Thunder.
Oh yeah, that.
Where in 42?
42, right where the two men are kissing.
Oh.
I guess we could. I think it's official. We could say this book has gone full regal.
I can say this. This book is lame, dead, and homosexual.
It says Petrus and Marcus belonged to the same monastic order in the late 1500s. Their friendship has been allowed to blossom, but their love is not accepted by the order of their faith. But Petrus is
Fuck
given
you,
the
Dad.
grace.
Blah, blah, blah. I've heard this fucking
Yeah.
story a gajillion times.
I mean,
Grow
that's
up.
that was a genuine thing about monks, though.
I don't give a shit. This is a case of daddy issues. This is the daddy issue concept. I know it's historical,
okay.
but I just don't give a shit.
Tech Freak, it's not the fact that there's a gay romance. It's like, where does this go? Are we going to be able to use our vampiric powers to go into the bottom of the monastery and find out that the ancient father is actually a Bali and he's actually sacrificing orphans like fucking Satan? And then these gay lovers, have to stop him.
So,
They
so
could.
We do
here's
that?
what you could do. And
I
this
mean,
is
that actually sounds like a fun one-shot. You're a
It
bunch
could
of
be.
gay monks that have to fight crime.
Well, I mean, there's also the thing is like, yes, mechanistically and story-wise, it can make sense. It's just when this is the only
What's the
things that
point?
you're constantly showing, and when you're constantly using the most fucking boilerplate things, I am going to make fun of you for what are clearly father issues.
Well, you see, again, these are people who, they said, are either serial daters or are probably complete versions at romance, but they want to
Because
pretend that
the
they are.
idea of long-lasting, like I can see doing this in a lengthy Sanctum group where you have essentially this fucking compact of fucking fucking brothers in arms and brothers in the bed. Because that was something that was done among the sacred band of Thebes.
The Vikings.
Like yeah, the whole brotherly bond shit, or in this case, Christian chastity monk shit. I don't know. All I do know is that the way they handled this and the fact that all they're showing is the same type of fucking pairing over and over again is really fucking lame.
I mean, there's just so many ways
I'm
that you
not
can
gonna
do
argue that
a
it's not fucking
destructive romance.
The concept's fine, but like this book is at least so far a waste. We have another 100 pages.
And
I mean, one of the best examples of love magic we have from like ancient Egypt is literally a monk that wrote a attempted charm to seduce another monk.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking.
No, you're right. That's why I'm not like bothered by the concept. It's just when you show two twinks in a fucking nightclub and then like whine about how their religion won't, and it's always the Christianity. It's not a case of like they've found themselves in a madrasa and have to keep hidden, or else the Ashir will fucking kill them. Sorry, it's just kind of like it's so boilerplate.
what would you
We could
expect?
argue that this is an evidence of the Eurocentrism of vampire. In this essay,
Yes.
I will.
Yeah, there you go. All right, sorry,
I mean, it could be, yeah. Well, we could be honest. It is Eurocentric. They have specific Chinese vampires for their Oriental campaigns.
Yeah, and I didn't mention China when I gave the other example, didn't I?
Yeah.
And you could have had it. You could have referenced it in any other situation or in any other thing.
So they do give then other tropes such as Fish Out of Water, Beauty and the Beast, May
Destructive
December.
romance. Additional.
It's the same
oh,
thing.
God.
It's a destructive romance.
I
toxic
I
relationships.
trawled I trawled through TV tropes and are just throwing it on here. Oh, go fuck yourself.
I watch a lot of Yuri manga. Not watch, read a lot of.
I read only the best trash isekai of Korean
That's the
webcomics.
other thing. This is the culminating point out of all of these no shits.
Oh, geez.
Hey, Zen
not
Gunman
that
said it right. Hey guys, did you know that this game is actually about the evils of heteronormativity? I mean, you're a soulless
wow.
monster who wants blood, so
The
you know, sucking dick
the
is
curse of
fine.
Cain is not a curse. It's a gift.
You guys mentioned all that stuff that you read. I'm just watching hardcore hentai with rape.
I mean,
This
that's
is
an
really up my alley.
improvement.
Biggie is just watching Bible Black in the background.
Yeah.
So
Hey! You know what? This supports queer romance, damn it. Lesbian rape and trannies.
by the way,
God, Biggie.
the additional tropes. They just trolled fucking TV tropes, threw this crap on there.
Actually, let me check.
All they did was they changed the summary because I've seen these. These are the actual oh God. Oh fuck.
Love trope.
Your neighbor.
Booze!
Your neighbor Adam.
Give me
Um,
booze! Woo!
Your neighbor Adam.
They may have.
True Namer. Have we hit True Namer and we haven't even finished the book?
We can't be fair until we at least have gone through half of it. But so
I
far,
don't think your liver is going to survive half of it, Adam.
don't worry, I've also been drinking electrolytes with this lemonade in between.
We're gonna find this fucking body out there in the fucking
We're gonna have to-
forest.
We're going to have to bury his body like it's a goddamn fucking crime scene.
Well, we're
You'll
gonna have to get the password for this YouTube channel then.
You'll,
We're going to have to beat the password out of his ghost. We're going to have to find a fucking Giovanni and just like fucking bribe him with, I don't know, like blood cannoli or some shit.
But let's see. What other tropes do we have here? The internal problems of sexual incompatibility. Vampire whiskey dick.
I mean, all right. I can see it.
I mean,
Switching
not
allegiances.
surprised.
Having a jealous ex, jealous ancilla, rival factions, war.
Why don't they have the equivalent of gay for pay? You'll be gay for blood.
I mean, that's just normal vampire feeding habits.
Yes.
Once you hit like 3 centuries or so, I'm gonna say this: probably half the elders in your chronicle have at some point sucked a dick for blood.
We got a RuPaul's Drag Race failed contestant. Sex is sharing blood.
We've got the tragedy of vampire, the feeding accident.
The
You know,
tragedy, the fucking tragedy. Good, we're
kind of what I
finally
would
mentioning that. It's
argue
like,
the main point of vampire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Wait, no, there's
the whole
something we
fucking-
missed in pornographic detail.
Wait, what?
One way to do this is to play the game with your sexual partner on a 1-per-1 basis. This is condoning being a fucking freak in the Denny's at 3 a.m. in the middle of your LARP, and hoping that the cracked out manager won't throw you out.
This is a Wendy's.
No, not Wendy's.
Not a Denny's. I was going to say this is a Wendy's, not a Denny's. Sir, you need to take that freak shit somewhere else.
Preferably Denny's.
Take that to Waffle House.
Denny's.
By the way, reminder in the original book for Chicago by Night, you know what they tell you? Do not act like a demented fucking head case. They didn't warn people to do this. They didn't warn people, by the way, when you do your LARP, don't be an asshole in public. Do it in a way that won't get you shot by the police.
I do think, again, if players all agree to it, I did like this one point, though, where it's saying that if you are playing a sex scene, you play it for as long as it reveals something interesting about the characters.
No, this is just condoning what happens in a normal White Wolf tabletop game or normal White Wolf LARP. Because let's be honest, the fat goth chick is going to get triple penetrated.
I must say, however, I'm still disappointed in this book because I'm still not getting the roleplay advice if I'm getting raped in character. How do I stop this, guys? How do I stop getting fucked?
How do I stop being a twink that attracts all of the hot, hunky werewolf men?
You don't
No,
don't
actually,
You're not
understand.
gonna get this one.
I as the primogen of your clan demand you ruin the date of my rival of not my rival, but my fellow primogen, because that motherfucker shot my dog 75 years ago in the middle of me breeding a new line of ghoul dogs. And I am still mad about that. So I need
Again,
you to
that
interrupt
sounds
his date by changing the time or doing anything. I don't care. Just shit him up.
honestly, again, that sounds like such a fun fucking game.
Like, what, your primogen is angry because their gold dog was shot like 75 years
Yeah,
ago?
yeah.
well, I
He's
do
still
like
mad?
this though. These laws against love, such as
No Malkavian
as
is allowed to have a blood wedding.
well, no, I was
I
saying
mean,
romance between kindred must always happen between 3 or more vampires.
there's a
Ideologues in
reason
this
for that.
anarch domain successfully argued that love between just 2 vampires was a Camarilla holdover.
Well, no, this is just an attempt to get you to be in the cuck chair, because
Well,
here's the thing. Here's the
the
thing.
No, there's
resistance
an
to the
actual
no.
reason for this.
I'm trying to find
Oh,
it.
there is.
Where
Alright.
is it?
Page
Is it
page 56,
56? Oh, it's 56. Okay.
56, second from the bottom.
Thank you.
And I do
Ideologues
like
successfully argued
yeah,
love between 2 vampires is okay.
I do
What's
like
the
that.
justification?
Alright,
Yeah,
follow with me here. What happens when you have 2 vampires who are blood bonded to each other? And only each other.
Oh yeah, obsession, rip apart.
Yeah. Now, imagine how dangerous that can be for everyone else around them.
Here's my fucking rebuttal to that. The way it was argued wasn't from that point of view. It was
It
argued from the
wasn't.
point of view of trying to get your significant other to cheat on you in an open relationship. Because that's, at the end of the day, most poly relationships are just an attempt by one party to shit on the other. And that's what this is too. If they
I did
explained it
like
in the case
Hmm.
of the Anarchs in the Aftermath pointed out that this was a problem, like if they used your arguing, I'd be fine with it. But they didn't. This is just
I
condoning spreading monkeypox to all of your people.
I do like though the that some part of resistance to it is that some local vampires just consist of appear on a friend who pretends to be the lover. You get a
Literally
contraction
the
beard.
fucking the beard. I was about to say, yeah, it's just a beard.
I don't
There's
really
another
like
one
it because
here.
it's like
Um,
you invented excuses for the law.
Well,
This
no,
wasn't
that's the
what they actually wrote.
justification. That's what the justification for it in Requiem is. They talk about
Yeah, but
it in
this ain't
Requiem of why
Requiem,
they.
Chief.
I know. It's why it's shit.
but there's
How
also
does
an old Toreador has the right to request a single date with any new neonate because they want to reconnect to their youth through romance.
Honestly, that sounds like a really funny plot hook. Of like,
what is the? Go ahead. Sorry.
all
You
right,
first.
all right, follow with me here. The idea that you've got this Toreador who, in a desperate attempt to try to be relevant, is trying to date a neonate.
I have that Riz.
I have that. What do you say, Riz? Yes.
Skibbity to that Riz.
Let's
Bro.
skibbity to that Riz, bro. Can you
I
just imagine the secondhand cringe everyone else in the goddamn masquerade at Elysium is doing is feeling as
no.
this
You're doing it wrong. What he should have done is he should have used old like flapper era terms like the bee's knees and go into the
yeah, you're a real dame with those gams.
and then she just says okay boomer and then goes
Okay.
with
So do you want to see my OnlyFans? Opens door, just a
So
bunch of fans.
Just a bunch of
so
fans.
wait, what does the Camarilla do though? If I'm a Malkavian and I just keep saying very homophobic things all the time, that's my delusion. I just keep calling you a faggot. What do they do then?
But by the way,
Uh,
yes, Squirrel Killer points out there is an actual movement by essentially serial cheaters and pieces of shit because,
well, there's always been that, not just within the gay, but there's always, especially like the 70s, this fucking like political
The swinger
lesbianism and
movie,
all that sort
the
of
swingers
stuff.
movement, yeah.
and
Free love.
it's one thing to be a swinger, it's another to be a cheating piece of shit trying to justify your cheating piece of shittery. And forcing a relationship open because you're a cheating piece of shit.
Here's the Primogen act as matchmakers, deciding who must have romances with who during the next season.
Which is the plot of literally so many fan fictions. I'm not surprised this is a law. Not even kidding. I'm
about to
not
say, like,
surprised.
that,
wait,
that just seems
Kindred who have to engage in fake romances come up with strategies of how to conduct their actual love affairs while pretending to be with their assigned partners.
Yeah, this is just fan fiction. I've already seen this before.
This is just every romantic comedy possible.
Yeah.
But it's with vampires.
Yes, which if that is the game you want to run, more power to you.
By the way, that's a little bit bigoted and heckin' wholesome because you're insulting the Hindi and Muslim peoples because of the whole match. Because remember, in the religions that they practice and in their culture, it's very common that they're match made and arranged. Ooh.
That's more of a cultural thing than a religious thing, though.
A cultural thing, but still very, very based.
Here's this one. All local kindred engaged in a romance must visit the Tremere region and submit to an occult examination of their blood.
By the way, you know what I just realized?
Basically, get your shit tested so you don't have
no. This is because the prince believes that kindred are incapable of love and considers emotion to be a bizarre holdover from mortal days. And they want to find out why it keeps popping up in their domain.
That's actually kind of neat.
That actually, yeah, like that's.
But it also,
actually an
what is this love you speak of?
But this also tells me that what these people did was they actually trawled through a mixture of fan fiction ideas and actual cultural things, because I'm pretty sure this was also, because it's also an old common cultural thing, especially in Mesoamerican and Andean cultures, to consult a wise person to determine if a marriage or relationship was auspicious, usually via the usage of spirits.
I mean, that's been a thing for fucking ever, though.
I know. I'm just kind of pointing out that, like, it's
cultures.
fun.
It's not even like an indigenous
thing. Yeah, in China
thing.
is too. It was also in China, yeah.
Oh, like this. Romantic rivalry must be resolved in public at the Elysium. Rival lovers must fight a duel, with the loser conceding the matter.
Which is a very common medieval thing that would
happen. Because local courtiers enjoy the spectacle of rivals fighting with their resistance. Some kindred try to deal with their issues like emotionally mature adults. This is rare.
That is the only good thing they've done so far in this book.
That's actually pretty funny.
Yeah. So this was about 80% and 20% interesting.
Romance in the opposition, different domains of how to explore romantic themes. But what I want to get to next is the signs of affection from a vampire lover.
Well, you don't want to learn about
64.
villains? Well, you don't want to talk about how you could seduce villains? Like werewolves, they're literally trying to do the classic trash fan fiction.
Yeah.
Listen, if I want that werewolf dick, I will get that werewolf dick. God help me.
Oh, hey, baby, you with the red talons? Oh, I think I'd like you and me, baby.
Of course it's the white woman going for that.
Oh, no.
I hope the red talon shreds them. Not sexually.
But to shreds, you say?
Yeah. Grandma got high on ayahuasca and said the marriage wouldn't last. The story as old as time. You're joking, but that was actually something that would happen. Another thing they would commonly do is they would go to the local mummy, because the mummies were your ancestors and their spirits still dwell there, the huaca. And they would just have a person talk to the dead body, which in this case could actually be a vampire. Like, you could do this as an interesting shitpost.
It's also basically a shitpost of like, how much are you paying this dude to say that? Like, you have to imagine that there were people that were like, look, if you just tell her that this is a bad idea, like, yep, the spirits say it's a bad idea. Please ignore the gold I just got. Please ignore my new llama.
Yeah. Signs of affection, such as the only copy of a romantic play by Shakespeare, unknown to the world.
Hey, is this fashion forward Masquerade? You might have jumped ahead again.
Yeah, page 64.
I had an idea. This is off topic from Vampire, but in Mage, if the technocracy was to unleash the gay gene, how bad would the paradox blowback be?
Not as high as you think, because of the whole increasing studies finding out that at least some of it is genetic, although a lot of it's also environmental in the womb.
And it's also a kind of a survival strategy in a weird way.
It actually kind of works out because, while yes, that lineage doesn't produce, it also produces a defensive secondary, like disposable sort of, or an assistant.
Not even that.
Man, are you telling me that when they put the chemicals in my fucking brains, reality's not going to save me? Is what you're saying? And fuck paradox.
Look, the main thing is not that. It's that let me put it like this. Even if you
Oh
don't
yeah, it
yourself
also
have
makes you more
offspring,
of a. It also makes you more likely to spread your genes because it also
yes,
raises libido. That's the other thing. Thank you for
it's
my brain wasn't able to remember that. It might
no,
have been
it's
because of some of delicious dry red.
no, it's that when even if your genes in specific are not being spread, it can still be beneficial because it's ensuring the genes of your siblings and other close relatives are spread.
It's similar to sickle cell in that regard. Basically, if you got the full gay, that's not good for propagation, but if you got the kind of gay, that's good for proposition because your inhibitions are
No,
lower.
even if you've got the full gay, it's still good because if you are not reproducing yourself, you may in fact be ensuring that another, for example, other children are being raised
Because
that
you're
are
you're
have your genetic
serving as
material.
a guardian slash watcher slash disposable if the saber-toothed tiger comes to eat people.
Yes, in other
Hmm.
words, you increase the survival chance of the group as a whole.
Yeah, Squirrel Killer points out uncles and aunties that spoil nieces and nephews. Yeah, that's the point.
So,
Yep.
I again, there's some of these very fun gifts, like a scandalous risque letter from a pope to his male lover,
I
or
mean, knowing the Catholic Church, yeah,
yeah,
No
or
definitely.
shit.
various, or
Again,
various.
where does this go though? What's happening? If the
Well,
Pope, like when he sends like the fucking messenger out, do like the vampires find? It's like, hey, let's blackmail the fucking Pope.
I'm envisioning the risque letter from a pope being what's the pope? Who's the pope that allegedly would just summon Satan to wrestle at night randomly for no reason?
wait, what?
Yeah, you're gonna have to make me think of that one
Because there's a pope
because
that allegedly would just summon demons for fun to wrestle with them and fight them.
to fight them and prove the power of God or some shit like
Yeah,
that.
it was something like that. There was also a pope
What did
who
he do?
legitimately had a bunch of topless hookers dance around eating chestnuts on the floor like
Yeah, yeah,
dogs.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We've all known about that story.
But the
The
Borgias?
Borgias were fucking freaks.
Then there was the pope who I think what was it during one of the it wasn't Michelangelo, but it was like oh no, one of the popes was such an asshole that one of the painters for the Sistine Chapel intentionally put him in the face of like the sinner, like his face as one of the sinners being sent to hell because I think he underpaid him.
But
Yeah,
we've got these dates such as an underground rat catching tournament organized by an eccentric Nosferatu.
I mean,
that just sounds like a good time though.
it does.
Um, a night orgy at an exclusive spawn brothel catered towards kindred, or a trip to observe their last remaining relatives. But then we get
Like,
to the gifts and dates of low humanity vampires.
oh boy, oh boy.
This could be
A
fun.
notebook with pages made of human skin, each page from someone you once knew.
That's actually pretty good.
Um, let's see. The severed fingers of a mortal who once insulted you, strung in a beaded curtain.
The head of one of their favorites, pickled in a jar.
A potion that lets you dream of people you lost, but only as part of horrific nightmares.
Okay,
And then
this is just
and
they
then
wanted to come up with tables, but
yeah,
they could only
this
come up with a few ideas.
the dates. A burlesque show performed by dominated mortals who are not normally dancers.
The orgy is just an average Toreador gathering. That is very correct.
An infiltration into a haunted house attraction to terrify and maybe feed on mortals.
That's not low humanity. That sounds
That's
fun.
not
A
that
live
that just
chess.
sounds like Sabat fun
A live
times. Yeah,
chess game with mortals who fight to the death.
That's just
that's
ripping
just
off
something
John Carter. That's the Chessmen of
that
Mars, you asshole.
no,
A
even worse. It's just ripping off what was talked about in Requiem for Rome. They mentioned this as things that was done back in the time of that Camarilla.
Stop wearing Onyx Path skin, you freak.
I mean, basically, most of this is just mortals dying for fun.
But that's a
Although,
good
actually, no, I
time,
like
even
this
if you're
one. Actually,
relatively
this
high
one is best.
humanity.
A contest to see who can feed on the highest-ranking member of a corporate retreat without using force or threats.
That actually kind of sounds like something that a couple of Toreador or Venture would do as like a bet.
Well, not only that, but I could see it being like a Bruja prank too.
But then after that, we go into the various love interests.
Oh yeah. Also, one of the dates is just hardcore BDSM because, of course, it is.
such as this means that we can fall for dangerous bad boys, become bewitched by non-binary individuals of malicious character, and try to hit on girls who seem intent on eviscerating us.
What's this trash?
Look, I
What?
just need a bad bitch to kill me for real.
What now?
Oh no, that one's coming up. So these are various characters, such as
Attractive
Lila,
qualities.
Lila Riviera, who is a Tremere fledgling
Oh, okay.
who has no idea what's going on, to the point where she literally has denied how much the embrace has changed her, and she continues to live in an apartment with 3 other young women. She just says that she installs heavy drapes and sleeps under her bed, and she thinks that she might need a better haven, but she doesn't know what to do because she thinks that every other vampire is like a dark mansion or a penthouse. She's also unfortunately fed on one of her housemates.
Who, by the way, saw it as like a hitting on her. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, they kind of fall in love.
I mean that's
Or
just
that
kind of
one has.
That's what feeding does. So good
Yeah,
on them for
that's-
pointing that out. But also,
yeah, like they.
Okay.
This just sounds like a really sad case of a vampire that like fledgling that really shouldn't have been given the embrace.
No, she shouldn't have.
This is an
Yeah.
okay character. It's an okay character to use or to actually have as maybe a starting character, maybe.
Like, yeah, that's the thing. It's not a bad character. It's just I'm wondering why they're in this book.
Well, these are just examples of
I know why.
different. So you've got like
No, think about it. Here's why. This way, we can't rate the book True Namer. This was done on purpose.
they knew.
They knew we were coming for them.
But because of that, I'm gonna say fuck it and rate it True Namer anyway, no matter what. Now. Because fuck them, fuck them.
But next we have
But
Condor.
I will say, at the very least, trawl it for some of the characters because this one's at least an interesting, okay character.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, then they shit it up with the romance aspect.
Oh boy.
Well, yeah, it's a character that you can romance.
They talk about styles of flirting.
How
the
would you?
romance path? They actually design romance paths like a fucking video game. Amazing.
It's just like my Japanese video games.
That also there's the possibility that one of her friends realizes that you're a vampire, but has no idea she's a vampire.
Well, yeah, because you're a low humanity fucking monster, and then she's just like,
Here's my boyfriend.
here's my
you.
boyfriend.
No,
Cool.
you forgot the Yandere sire who basically did it because I loved her.
That's just normal vampire shit, though. Like, that's just normal vampire behavior.
And then there's the love-struck roommates, apparently opposing ambitions. So this is just, hey, storyteller, have her decide to side with the other guy just to fuck with you.
Let's see. Next up is Condor.
Hungry? No, there's one more. Hungry on experience. Any hole's a goal, according to Layla now. You ruined the character. I feel much more comfortable rating this True Namer now. Woo!
So, Condor, venture neonate. He grew up in the 60s, was raised as a she, but rejected that designation.
Oh, this is just what's that? This is just
And
Ellen Page. This is just Elliot
and
Page. Screw this.
has the scars.
This is just Elliot Page.
And then runs basically in a art commune.
Yeah,
and turns out is a fuckboy.
Do you think
No
this
shit.
person's story beat is he's being stalked by a French video game developer that wants his nudes?
Could be.
Oh, please actually have that as one of the complications because that would be really funny.
Stalkers. A small group of thin bloods has grown obsessed with Condor and the work he does with Urban Ink stuff.
Oh my god, you were right, Biggs?
No,
No, the lover. An elderly mortal with whom Condor shared a passionate, deep love years ago arrives in town chasing clues about his whereabouts. He seeks closure and answers why his true love left him.
See, that's not a bad idea for a complication.
He's
It's a
great
idea for a complication. But you
here's the
made
other
this
thing.
person a serial cheating fuckboy. So
Well, here's the other. is that
What's bad about
Condor wants to actually seek Golconda, and has actually been researching and searching for it.
Well, I mean, I don't
Okay.
think you're going to be able to find that in the holes of the women that you're touching or the men that you're touching.
Well, I mean, I guess the idea is to try to unlock the humanity again through sex, but
Actually, no, wait. Okay, hear me out. Tantric, they go hard into tantric meditative mantra sex. Maybe that is one of the steps.
now, you see,
Because
it
they
does
never
sound like a great
specify
story.
how Golconda works.
yeah, like I guess if you wanted really kinky Golconda,
Post nut clarity Golconda.
post nut clarity is Golconda.
when you nut and the
You
vamp
need-
keeps sucking. That's Golconda. That's Golconda.
She gold my conda until I achieve enlightenment.
But
No, I
Well-
don't mind this person being a trans man. I just hate that this character is very clearly based on Elliot Page.
well, then next up is
That's
another
my
couple.
problem.
Is an actual couple. Ethan
Um,
Klein and Hassan Piker.
I could really
Seriously, I want you to look. It kind of looks
it is.
vaguely like them.
It is. He has the hairpiece. I mean, this is a younger Ethan Klein, but I can imagine the bug eyes and sniffing that he does.
Yeah,
He
but
kinda-
it's Ethan and Hamza.
when I called Ethan a Jewish vampire, that's not what I meant. I just said he just looks kind of like fucking Dracula when he bugs out.
So it's varsity swimmer Ethan and geeky digital artist Hamza thrown together as roommates during their freshman year of high school. Hamza's an openly bisexual man, and Ethan's sexually curious. Already mentioned romantic tensions, they brought a strange, alluring woman back to their dorm. The sex was novel, kinky, and transformative. And then they became vampires.
So what you're saying is, okay,
What will
out.
they do next?
pegged. They both got pegged.
Not only did they get pegged, but here's something I've noticed. Congratulations, you took a failed writer's pitch for a horrible sitcom and just turned it into a book. This is an elevator pitch for a terrible sitcom. But hey, let's see how love can bloom across the West Bank.
Oh no.
Well, and here's the thing about their romance is they are together, kind of, but they will only entertain romantic and sexual overtures if it's clear they come as a package deal.
Basically put, they want a spit roasted chick.
No, they're not.
Or a man.
No.
Or a man.
Hear me out. A failed attempt at making a blood brother. That's why they're linked together like that.
Ah.
The blood mutated.
Yeah, but that would require them to acknowledge the blood brothers exist, which they won't do.
True, even though these guys like vampire more than any other splat.
Also,
that's too problematic.
Finally, Ethan is a loud, insatiable bottom and loves to see how hard he can take it from Hamza.
Oh no!
When in the mood, both Ethan and Hamza can be very sexually adventurous.
Do you think these are? Do you think the person who wrote this actually gave a thumbs up to the content cop on H3H3?
I'm sure one or two of these people are self-inserts.
Listen. All I can think of is this one fucking stupid joke from last podcast on the left involving the Betty and Barney Hill abductions, where they're talking about the anal probing of Barney Hill with, "Do you think I can't take it?"
You're saying that? Okay, hear me out. Okay, I have an idea for a character. You could anyone can use him. You have a Malkavian as a late night radio show guy, or like a late night podcasting
no, it's Art
guy.
Bell.
Like as an Art Bell, where they do talk about the conspiracies because they believe in some of them. And then they bring these two on, and it just turns into the alien abduction, where it's like, and then you hear it. There are actually alien vampires among us.
There are alien vampires among us that want your ass.
And he says it so earnestly, and he looks so well dressed as he talks about alien vampires coming for that ass. to clap them
Listen,
cheeks.
gay colored alien vampires wish to have sex with you. This is a natural fact of our universe, and
But-
you need to accept that.
Darson, why are there so many twinks? It's a vampire.
Yeah, I was about to say it's vampire.
They're
What
not.
do you
They're
fucking
not.
expect?
They're not biting fat people.
Well, that
Uh-oh,
and
chat had a
also
bit
like
of a hernia. 1 second, let me repair that.
the other bit about that is that it's vampire. If you want the bears, that's werewolf. That's down the hall to the right.
I don't know if chat broke or if that was an attempt to mess with me. Because Squirrel Killer's response is not loading.
Oh no.
No, I think that's just an. No, that's just an image.
Ah, you tricked me.
You tricked me, you tricksy trickster.
As for romance, yeah, they just go into how they like to be fucking pegged. It's fine.
Mm. But then here's your tech. Here's
Oh, yeah,
your
what's the
dummy mommy.
complications?
No, the complicate. The Hamza is suddenly interested in a girl he met downtown and is spending time with her. But Ethan is getting jealous and asks the players
Oh,
to investigate.
relationship drama.
It
Okay.
turns out she is in fact a fairy, not that kind of fairy, with designs
Her
to
name
whisk
is-
Hamza away. Her exact motives are inscrutable.
Wait, so a
name
woman?
is
Oh no,
Anissa.
it's a woman child that possessed the corpse of a baby.
No, Adam. Her name is Anissa.
Her name is Lala. All right. You
No,
have
no,
to
that's a succubus.
Why did you specify who was the bottom? Because when people talk about their
I don't
sexuality, for
know.
some reason they like to describe, hey, do
Oh.
you like to pitch or do you like to catch? They don't seem to understand that you don't have to actually talk about what degenerate sex pest weirdo shit you do.
I don't know if there's a joke in there or if it's because he's technically is not open. He's sexually curious, and so it's like, dude, you clearly are.
Like we get it. You like dick. You don't have to be fucking dramatic
We
about
get
it.
it. You crave cocks, and your ultimate goal is to have a 9-inch roasted deep so far up your ass that it forms a shape in your colon. I care.
Oh,
I
here,
don't
here,
care.
Just like
actually,
your
here-
mother.
Yeah. Bedroom anxiety. So if things get along well and you have your brief sexual encounter, Ethan starts remembering his first threesome with the sire, has a panic attack, and flees.
I mean,
I can understand.
I don't
yeah,
want to be pegged.
No, not there.
No, get away with the urethral insertion device.
I didn't ask for the sounding. I asked for the
I
pegging.
can still feel it. I'm not a full vampire.
Oh God.
Oh no, then he ends up like Nicolas Cage. I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire.
Fuck.
No, don't.
But oh,
don't
wait.
no, don't
Yeah.
attach me to the Baldo.
he can apparently get they can apparently get interested by a bunch of anarchs who
They saw
lead
you
the
from
boys into
across
an
the-
well no with an alley one night, introduce himself as the future of vampirism.
Listen, they saw you across the rack one night, and they liked your vibe. They want you to join their sex cult.
Also, the future of vampirism. You know what I hear when I think of that? This sounds like equation plot to point out how degenerate the Canaanites are.
Listen, the future of vampires is obviously gay twink romance. This is
That
undeniable.
sounds like something you'd see L'Equation do as
Ima-
like a anti-degeneracy art.
imagine
You say that, but
Imagine
have you
nothing
not
but-
read Chinese web novels? That shit's so fucking gay.
I don't.
no, it's about tough muscular men.
Yeah, it's about twinkie fucking men getting into gigantic slap fights over who has the biggest penis, and sometimes fucking each other.
That just sounds like an average lobster fight.
I mean, yeah, it's Chinese web novels. What are you expecting? High literature?
I'm just now envisioning. No. Okay, hear me out. I have a very stupid idea for an event you can do. Hear me out. Gould lobster fights. And it's run by a Nosferatu, and it's the equivalent of game hen fights, where you bet blood.
I thought you said gay men fights for a second.
That could all.
I mean, I
no,
can I can
that happens
see.
on Friday. That happens on Fridays
That's
in
right.
the back
Okay.
alley run by the Toreador.
So, but okay. Next up, though, and you'll like this. This is your darling mommy, Demetra Thorne.
Oh,
Bruja
no.
and Scylla, former anarch, now fascinated with the Sabbat. She looked forward to having kids and growing old, but childhood and youth was marred by poverty, and she ended up getting embraced by a guy she only superficially knew from involvement in a local grassroots movement. Hurt to lose her future, but she said she'll be able to make a real change as one of the kindred and was introduced to the anarch movement. But she had this instinct to destroy something, and it didn't bloom until she learned that her sire was greedily feeding every night on the very same people he was claiming to help.
Yeah, because
And
he's
so
a fucking vampire.
yep, she drained him, diablerizing, and well, she realized that she would be shunned by the anarch community, so she's been hiding ever since.
I rather hope that they don't try to justify the committing of Amaranth.
They don't.
Good. So this is the reason Amaranth is such a massive sin is because it is monstrous even by vampire standards. Because when I made the joke of they keep sucking, but you still when you just nutted, that's what this is. Where you do that until they're dead painfully, and it's
You are literally
horrifyingly
consuming
agonizing.
their soul. Their animating force is gone. They are never coming back. If there is redemption in death, they will never get it. Their soul is gone.
Then again, for me, I look at Diablo. It's like, well, is that kind of the only way that they can ensure that the vampire race propagates? Because the blood's getting thin.
No.
Yeah, but that's why it's a curse. And also why the generation system is inferior to the blood potency system, but never mind, that's another conversation.
Wait, was there any conservative vamp? No, it's all lame and gay all the way down.
You tend to just get rid of any moral concerns.
Like
Man,
let me put it
woman,
like this.
whatever.
Yeah, like by the 9th century that you've been alive, you are no longer connected to humanity to the point where it's like, look, I just need to eat, all right? You're gonna
say that, but
see.
it's really
Remember,
weird that they're all doing it in the exact same way, and it just so happens to agree with a bunch of weirdos who LARP in Sweden.
Right. I
No.
mean, it's
That's a
not
bit
like
weird.
it's not like it's a thing where it's like the lower humanity you are, probably the less you're going to be biased about shit because it's human stuff.
Hey,
Why are
you're
you
above it.
concerned about
Who
this?
cares?
Who gives a shit? Like whatever. I don't fucking care.
so
Nito
this
nailed it.
character,
Diablerie is just vampire 4. Yeah, that's
yeah.
accurate.
Accurate if
Yeah.
something I don't want to think about.
Demetra is fun. She believes herself to be fundamentally evil, but she still follows the personal credo that she must do more good than bad, and makes a nightly effort to equal out the
What's
bad
this
she's done with
fucking
the
baby
good.
brain style writing? What the fuck?
The
Really?
Vampire 5th edition, everyone. Her romantic type, she's a dominant who prefers femme and non-binary partners.
Okay.
Elegant flirt.
Is there any straight people here?
That was my question, yeah.
Probably not.
Well, you see, what happens is, it turns out vampirism is actually, it does do neurochemical changes
Vampirism
to your
as an
brain.
analogy for homosexuality has been a thing for a long time in literary circles.
Yeah, no
I
shit.
get that.
No wonder the Order of St. Leopold wants to eliminate vampires. They keep making everyone gay.
No, it's actually because the current head of the Order of St. Leopold is very salty that the La Sombra that he dated once never called back.
Real mood, he couldn't land the Latina, and now he must destroy them all.
Oh, he couldn't land the hot Latino twink. What are you talking about? Not heteronormativity in this vampire setting? Not happening, buddy.
It's not even heteronormativity. It's just like, are any of them straight?
No.
Like, actual genuine question.
No, none of them.
What is this straight you refer to?
I think it's a line. You see the line? I think that's what he's talking about. The dividing line.
I can't. No, there has to be a bend at every point. I can't see a line going from one point to another without tilting at an angle.
Do we have any reason to give a shit? No, but it's just kind of funny
No.
that all of them are not straight.
Though speaking of Latinas, Angelique,
Oh, and also
beware
it's
Trey.
interesting it took him this long to get to the BDSM bondage clownery.
Well,
I
no,
mean, I'll give credit. They at least restrained themselves a bit.
the non-binary twink had a collar.
Oh, never mind. Fair enough.
So, Angelique's Malkavian neonate from the 20s. She was locked up in a mental
This is gonna go
institution
bad.
because she was gay.
Okay.
She now spends her time in an artist collective.
As one does.
Let's see, contrast between a fragile, vulnerable appearance and hidden steel underneath. So,
Translation, I leech off of the art collective, which is
Yep.
surprisingly fitting. And there are times where people will accidentally make a character who seems like a fucking meme, but it was supposed to be lampooning the meme. But because of how shit writing is, you can't fucking tell anymore. So, who knows?
Yeah. Actually, again, don't you sort of have to apologize to the guy that made Rudy for that?
No, I don't.
Because his whole point. Okay.
Because it wasn't really clear, and on top of that, he was surrounded by other bad examples that were completely serious. His message got muddled because of that. It isn't his fault, it's just unfortunate timing. God, imagine if Rudy was in this book instead. Like, just written
If
the
Rudy
same
was
way.
in this book and said he would fit much better.
No, but like, imagine that, and then the writer said exactly the same things when asked about it. You wouldn't be able to tell in this book. You know?
so
That's why
continuing
he
on,
got flack, even though it was undeserved and it makes sense as a character.
continuing on with, so Angelique basically is just flip-flopping between being flirty and then shy. Malkavian.
Yeah, I was going to say that. That just actually no, that's like every fucking woman ever. All right.
It's just manic pixie dream girl shit.
Yeah.
What's the derangement that this Malky has?
I
Apparently
presume
being
that.
a woman.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Stunning brave. I cried butterfly
Well,
tears as
as it says, she
blood.
was in the asylum because she loved too much.
So
Yeah, so being a woman disease, got it.
Yep.
So legitimately, because they're terrified of derangements. This was supposed to be a subtle hint that it's called nymphomania, which is an actual condition which can ruin your life.
Yeah,
well, I don't know if it's
hypersexuality.
nymphomania. I think it was actually lesbianism.
Hypersexuality. Well, no,
But
technically,
also
yes,
could be,
since
yeah.
it was a DSMV, but the problem is that wouldn't necessarily be. That would be very interesting, where you wake up one day as a vampire.
Hypersexual vampire and you're hypersexual? Like, good lord.
No,
That
no,
would
no,
be
no. Think about it like this: embraced by a milk, you go to bed. You go to bed straight. You wake up suddenly gay because the DSMV told me that's a mental illness.
No.
No, I think the
No.
hypersexuality is the derangement instead.
Yeah. That's kind of the idea I'm getting out of this.
But the next character is Christian Grey.
Oh no, is this a 50 Shades reference?
Well, I want you to look at that image.
Yeah, that is.
It is a Ventru Ancilla from the Camarilla who is waxing philosophically about love.
Okay,
And
fourth glass of excellent bouquet.
Adam is
I
gonna
should not
fucking
have
die.
fucking done that. Oh god.
and
No,
he
that was a bad
engaged,
idea.
and in order to have them romance, he likes to challenge his partner.
Yeah, I got it. 50 Shades of Bondage clown shit.
Yep,
I
it's
don't
just 50
care
Shades.
that you like to get
With-
tied up and pegged like a
with the
fucking pig.
With the cruelty tests.
I don't care that you like to be verbally abused.
He fails to accept new love and decides to reject all love as weakness.
What is love?
Baby, don't
please hurt me. Please hurt me some more.
I might actually. Oh god, I'm getting a bit nauseous here. Not because it's gross, just because holy shit.
They give other quick character ideas such as a doctor, eager first timer, a digital shadow who copies collectible NFTs to diminish their supposed value.
By the way,
Can you tell this was made in 2023?
By the way, if you're wondering, since Dark Sun is just thinking all of them are gay, he's actually. Don't worry, he does smash women, but he's also bi because to him, this is the example of a vampire that's been around a little too long. He does not care. A hole's a goal for him at this point. Which,
We then get-
Listen,
again,
you got
I
to do
don't
something
mind.
to keep yourself from going insane.
And
We
in
then
this
get-
case,
when
he
you get old
chooses to
enough.
be
Yeah.
a bondage clown.
We then get a bunch of sections on various, I guess, romance plots.
Quick
Such as
character
a-
ideas because they just
Yeah, that's what I was,
they need to fill
Um,
pages.
the Vermilion wedding between
Oh wait, no,
Victoria
on
Ash.
page 98. Look, straight couple. I had to
It took
point
us
that
98
out.
pages.
I just wanted to point it out.
No, they're secretly bi.
Who knows? Maybe.
Maybe they're both trans.
Maybe.
That could be.
Actually, if it's two trans people, if it's trans man dating a trans woman, is that a straight relationship?
Yes, but also no.
Like, I'm actually genuinely questioning that now because it's like, all right,
Technically yes, but also technically no.
It would
It
be
is one of
straight-
those.
I think it would technically be like straight queer.
yeah, all right. Is it? Does anybody actually know of anybody in that sort of relationship? I'm genuinely curious.
There's probably a few, and I would argue it probably counts as straight.
Because that's just to me would be just kind of like fascinating, you know, like it's like, huh, that's not what I expected.
But onto the various, I guess, stories you could tell. The Vermilion wedding between Victoria Ash and Tigris that we've been
That was in
hearing
the
about throughout the
other.
plot. Yep.
That was in the other book as well, wasn't it?
Probably.
and
nothing
so-
that's interesting in this book was something this book actually made.
Your character gets hit on by a bunch of older vampires. So if you want the May December romance, go ahead.
Which
I mean, if you're both immortal, is it really a May December romance?
I just realized that I think the idea of having a party where that is this just the story of Daddy Longlegs? So
I don't know.
So there's this old it's an old story, oldish, like I think it's from the Flapper times, where the idea is a young girl is basically fucked out of life and an older beneficiary helps her, and at a gala of sorts she meets him, and again the dude's old enough to be her dad, but it's a weird May December romance between that because he didn't intend for that, he was just trying to be a good person.
And
it
ended up
just-
fucking the shit out of her.
Eventually, yeah. Maybe I could just be I could just be mildly fucked at this point. Mildly fucked, more like fucked. Ugh.
Let's see.
Comeuppance
Another one is
Comeuppance
Club.
Club. These are the ones that force you to nut.
Born as a salon for those burned by failed blood
Imagine-
weddings or kindred relationships. Its immortal front is a private detective agency specializing in extramarital affairs. Okay, this is fun.
Okay.
This is
Yeah.
fun.
This is the only good thing out of this book so far.
This has potential. This has potential for a lot
They
of
could
fun.
be clients. Their ex could be employing the CCA to get revenge on them. CCA could be their employers.
Also, if you're wondering the story of Daddy Longlegs, like I said, old enough to be her father, but she was, I think, of college age. If I remember right, she was of college age.
And don't forget, in the 20s, different laws.
No, like that was one of the concerns, if I remember right. Like they
That she'd
go
go to college and find a dude that fucks her stupid. Yeah.
And don't forget, you could still have child marriage in California.
Thank
Yes,
you,
that's
Planned
actually real.
Parenthood. Very cool.
Turns out they did because they were concerned about it affecting abortion law. But
How?
I don't know. It's politics.
Also as contraceptives, which again,
Contraceptive. It's politics. Anyone's going to try
It
anything
gets weird.
Yeah. But continuing on, the next
Anyway,
section
off
is
of that topic.
chosen for the bond.
Oh, the creepy
This-
shit.
Yeah, this story is written as a trap which is sprung with the Codier's arrival. They do not know the rules, but hear tempting and wonderful things about this well-connected venture prince and her court of marvels. The prince has made them prisoners and means to force them into blood marriages to her loyal courtiers. It's the rape plotline.
It's the mindfuck plotline.
I think it was
Mind
a good
break
idea.
tag.
I guess it was a good idea. I decided to
NTR.
game a bit more.
NTR.
Yes, also, he is suffering from temporary insanity.
So what we're going to deal with in this one, which is going to be great, is we're dealing with the fucking Riona mind control fetish. Thank you for reveal. I don't know who wrote this, but they definitely
Also,
outed
I
themselves
love
as a
some of the
freak.
descriptions. Jemmer the dog. This pale-skinned giant of a man serves the court personal guard enforcer. He's built strong and hard like a woodsman. His scarred face, rough, somewhat animalistic features make his presence undeniably intimidating. You're taking that dick and you're liking it.
This is just all the really
To
terrible
quote from an
bodice rippers.
8-track I heard, "Stop talking and start sucking."
Oh, I think I realize what's going on. We have Game of Thrones at home.
Guys, it's like that fucking old Gmod video. It's like, you're gonna suck this cock clean.
Vincio
Okay.
Gallo. But this smooth-tongued, boastful Toreador. Desired by many not for his good looks or flirtation manner, but because he takes a genuine pleasure in figuring out how to best satisfy. And because he's the kind of person to whom it seems the whole world disappears when he looks into your eyes.
By the way, if you're wondering why
So
this
he's
is
a
even more
fuckboy.
well, you could tell because his last name is Gallo, which means cock in Spanish.
I thought Gallo meant yellow in Italian.
No, Gallo is cock, literally
It could
chicken.
be, well, yeah, Gallo, in that case. Which probably is definitely a nickname for penis.
It is.
And then there's Gale, the Banu Hakim neonate. Which, that is
Does
not the name I would think for a
write
Banu
this
Hakim.
for the Swedes? Probably.
She's a
All I can say
trickster.
is that we should just, inshallah, Sweden shall be destroyed.
Then there's
Sweden
next
is
section
ripe for the jihad.
is the lingering kiss. What happens if you keep visiting from the same fount? So this is mortal lovers.
They talk about this in every version, and they basically all say it's called a blood doll. It's someone who gets off on being fed on
You
to
could
the
have a
point where
stalker.
they get addicted to it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Having a local. Yeah, basically the same thing. Although I
It's
like
just
the
a
image.
blood doll
I like
stretched
I like
out.
that I like that Malkavian.
Which Malkavian? You mean the guy in the funny
Or
suit?
not Malkavian, Nosferatu. The
Yeah, because
Nosferatu
that's
on
that was a
120.
Nos. Unless a Malkavian mutilated themselves or got caught on fire.
I'm gonna make myself look beautiful for tonight. Tears face off.
You know, actually, that could be a genuine Malkavian. Okay, hear me out. This is a derangement I think could be.
Malkavian with vicissitude.
No, hear me out. A Malkavian whose derangement is because there is a type of DSMV condition where you want to remove a limb. It's sometimes seen as a fetishistic thing, but it's a type of body dysmorphia. So just imagine having this dude wake up
like that
every
one-
night to cut his
yeah.
face off.
There was like a dude on Mari once who was like, I cut off my own leg because I didn't like it.
Imagine having to wake up every night and the dude chops off his fucking leg.
Yeah,
Ah, damn, it's back again.
it's back again.
God damn
Fuck.
it, it's back again.
Honey, get the sawzall.
And his honey is actually like I'm envisioning like a drunk farmer kind of dude, and his honey is essentially his ghoul servant, who looks like a fucking housewife.
It's back.
God
You said that
damn
the
it,
last
it's
night,
back again.
master. You said that the last night, master. I know, but it's back again.
I knew
Let's see.
I gotta stop healing with my blood, damn it. I keep forgetting that it can grow back if I do it.
Just drain me while you're at it. Just having a, I don't know, but
I'm just envisioning the ghoul servant going full like Elizabeth Bathory in the bathtub with this dude's Vitae. Just rolling around in it like some drug addicts do with heroin or cocaine.
His place looks worse than Nick Mercator's house.
Oh,
No,
that's a deep cut.
It's just
That's I think you're going too far, man. Like, come on. You gotta be
Dude,
a little
he's
more
Malkavian
generous.
I
obsessed
have
with chopping
nothing.
his leg off.
Test priest.
Instead of that, it's just
He
a
just-
bunch of rotting legs stacked up
Test
in
priest,
a
I got
corner.
nothing else with this fucking book. It's just saying like, oh yeah, here's Sally. Here's Sally's gay love life. They're doing practically nothing. It feels like the vampire aspects were an afterthought.
So what
Yes.
happened was they probably had some very, very shit ideas for archive of our own fan fiction involving characters that they then turned into a book to very quickly spin it for money.
Normally, I would respect the hustle.
Yeah, no, basically the rest of this is just various romance subplots.
Okay,
I
we're
think,
gonna
though,
skip
what
to
we
the
should-
TikTok.
We need to get to the TikTok section.
We need to get
Page
to TikTok.
141.
The shades
So,
of Neo Monster.
I
Yeah, who cares?
now I have no idea if there is an actual community on TikTok. If there is, I'm telling these people get off of there and actually do some real role playing.
Okay,
I mean,
here we
role
go.
playing on TikTok is technically still role playing, but I'm gonna mock you for it.
No, it's
'Cause
just
this
it's
motherfucker
just the
can't get off
world's
TikTok.
shittiest concept. Okay, hear me out. This is
It's
just-
even worse play by post.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's the world's worst version of play by post.
Observed by the Chinese government.
I'm just envisioning a very confused Chinese intelligence officer going, "I
Chinese
don't."
intelligence officer
I mean-
wondering why all these American scientists and tech people in the NSA are pretending to be fucking vampires.
He's like, "I don't understand, Zhang. They just keep
Zhang.
taking off their shirts and talking about sucking blood. What is wrong with these Americans?
What is wrong with these
Is
Americans?
is it because of the chicken diseases that they have? Is it the avian flu? Did it infect their brains? Is it because egg prices are too high? Is it the egg prices doing it? Or is it just the fat cutting off their head? Because in East Asia, they will happily call you fucking fat if you're fat. Is the fat choking their brains?
So on TikTok, many players dress up as their tabletop and LARP characters, doing lip syncing with funny audios and duetting the videos of other vampire TikTokers. Because that's what vampire is known for: funny audio and duets.
I think
And
this is actually
TikTok.
worse than the doctors who would dance with their anesthetized patients on TikTok.
So,
It isn't, but
people in the
goddamn, is
comments,
it more
tell us how
embarrassing?
big. People, tell us how big the World of Darkness TikTok community is, so we can kill them all.
No,
we
we're
can
not
go on a
going to
road
kill
trip
them
to
all,
kill 'em.
but we will
Inshallah, they
make
shall
fun
be
of it.
purged.
So wait. So what you're saying is we're pulling a get a friend risk. We're trying to pull the World of Darkness nation out of the gutter with the worm.
On TikTok, like saying that there's often a negotiation through Discord to be able to discuss what they're going to show. So this isn't even actually role playing. This is you just doing a fucking theater.
This is Discord gooning.
It's not even that. It's
Discord gooning with TikTok dances.
You're trying to do
LARP
role playing,
costume.
but gussying it up instead of doing it in real time.
No, this isn't even that.
You're a worse critical role.
No.
Hey, I will have you know that's an insult to Critical Role.
Yeah, at least Critical Role was able to steal blades in the dark and pretend they made it as Candela Obscura.
Oh, no, we have the hashtags. Hashtags Vampire the Masquerade, hashtag VTM Talk, and hashtag Vampire Ock.
All right.
And of course,
All right, Adam, you know what you must do.
Gotta find...
For those who come after.
Well, no, here's the problem, though. TikTok now forces you to make an account, and I refuse to get the Chinese government on my ass.
Just make a burner fucking Google account.
I don't feel like rotting my brain any more than the liquor's doing.
TikTok is great because they shockmailed the George Floyd memes like number one.
What I will do instead, because it's funny, is what I'm going to suggest is you can come to our Discord, because I am going to later on show some of these in that Discord. For those who are curious on what the sort of shit you'd find on there is.
So, they do say that some of the hashtags for various TikTok-based vampire LARPs can have as many as 100,000 to over 3 million views within a year.
Most of them being laughter.
less than 75% of that. Probably less than 10% of that are actual views.
Oh yeah, because TikTok multiplies the view numbers
Yeah.
from what I
If you're
remember.
looking to pull as many viewers into your story as possible, do not play an RPG.
Why the fuck are you trying to make them? Oh, I know. You're trying to artificially AstroTurf a new critical role so you can leech off of them.
Yeah. Star-crossed lovers with tears of blood streaming down their cheeks as they say goodbye, not knowing when they will meet again. Did you fail theater?
Yes. Why do
You
you
can
think
go
they're
to your
writing
local
this book?
theater.
Why do you think they wrote this book?
Also be aware, because TikTok has strict guidelines keeping things at PG-13 at best, things such as lovemaking can be implied but never shown.
Ha ha, you can't show off your oh, actually no, you can show off your bondage collection because they don't give a shit. You could commit crime on TikTok and they won't fucking stop you.
Ah, fair enough.
So do it. They'll probably at worst, or
Be
if you're
gay
really
and do
scared,
crime.
no, or at worst, you know what you could do? Just go to Twitch. They don't give a shit if you have sex on there. They'll just ban you for a day on your day off.
And you could also make sketch comedies or music videos with various sounds. Because that's what Vampire is for.
This is, please,
Honestly,
please
the
give us an
idea-
AstroTurfed content farm channel that we can piggyback off of. Please!
There's also,
Please!
you can write letters of affection to fictionally flirt with another player.
I mean, I could do that in real life too.
Yes, this is
You
kind
could
of
also-
creepy.
You could also write a letter to Sweden, basically giving them death threats too to knock this gay shit off.
When was this book written again? Just curious.
2023.
Oh, so this was back when they still thought that, oh, we don't need you filthy grogs. We're still going to pretend that White Wolf is fucking dead.
How's that working out for them?
They are
They
currently
have restarted White Wolf.
desperately as a slop gatherer.
This is like if Games Workshop brought back the old world, but literally just made it Age of Sigmar.
Now this book would be the equivalent of, okay, so this is the book about how everyone fucks in the world of Malleus.
A lot of pig shit and mud everywhere.
Yeah, I do want to know how the fuck ogres still populate if they just eat everything.
Well, no, but then they don't actually even do that because they make everyone gay, except for like the one guy who just at that point he doesn't care.
Oh, so Manfred. Or Nagash. Actually, no, Nagash probably would
I don't
care, 'cause
want to
he'd be-
think about Nagash's sex life. I'm just saying.
Oh, you know, he fucks Archon.
Arcane the Black. Do they?
Archon takes the black.
Oh no. That's
Someone's got to have done that on Rule 34.
Well, Jimmy, can you bring that up? Good fucking lord.
Who the fuck approved this? Who knows?
Let's
I
see.
can think of who approved this, and whoever approved this.
Hello,
thought that this was a
it's
brilliant...
your boy Satan. I approve of this.
No, hello, it's your boy.
World of
voice-
Darkness brand management, Vice President Sean Greenery, Editor Kareem Mumar, Art Director Thomas Artford, Marketing Manager Jason Carl, Partnerships Manager Duane DeVere, Community Developer Martina Outstar Zinch, Licensing Manager Nicola Filipov,
It went through.
Campaign
10
Manager Victor Bolivares, and Community Manager Debbie Lane.
It went through like 11 people, and they all looked at that, said, "Yeah, it's good enough. That's not gonna make us look fucking dumb. We're not gonna accidentally get indicted by whatever our fucking players do." Amazing, fantastic.
So, Killers, did TikTok pay for a stealth ad? No.
No, they
I
just.
think they generally assumed that this is a growing outlet and it's a viable way to deal with, you know, the emotional turmoil of romance in Vampire.
You know, it would have been smarter if they just said, "Hey, here's how you could do this in Discord, kiddies," or alternatively, "Here's how you use fucking podcasts to do it." All I do know is that these are peak Baijuo. These are peak Western idiots. Although I'm envisioning the poor Chinese intelligence officer trying to get anything of value from this. Anything.
So that's it.
Slanesh commissioned this and was very disappointed.
No, actually, Slanesh was
No.
very happy after getting disappointed because that disappointment was great and was greater than the time the Mask of Slanesh fucked up dancing.
What the hell is this?
I
It
don't
is
know. It's not a.
It
It's
is
not
an
a
It is-
versus book.
attempt
it is an
to
attempt to
make
be a
another
vampire.
book which we are about to look at
Yeah.
very quickly because it's much shorter and much less painful.
Danny
is
Boy's
vampire
calling them
romance
Nefandy fucks.
without-
No, don't do the Nefandus dirty.
No. It is vampire romance without by just trying to be a shitty romance novel without any understanding of the fact that you're an undead monster.
By the way,
Like
some
we know that people got the monster girl fetish, but you're
We
not
know
playing
you're all
the
some
monster
real
girl
fucking
fetish.
degenerates, all right?
Yeah,
we
like,
know
playing
that.
come on.
You're playing the monsters.
Look, let's be
Listen-
fair. We know when you say you're a werewolf player, at your heart, you want a Black Fury nun with a gun that can turn into a furry that I guess screw in the sister outfit.
Like
Is it-
If
I'm
you're
looking
going
here.
for vampire, you're going for the hot dead chick, or the
Yeah,
hot dead
I'm
guy.
looking at the Vampire Requiem book.
If you're
and-
into changeling, you're probably going to prison.
What if I'm mage?
If you're
You're
mage,
definitely
you
going to
can build
prison.
your waifu after going to prison.
Yeah. In which they're talking about like the actual concept of like intimacy with a vampire is that they can either be terrifying or magnificent.
By the way,
Possibly through romance.
all of the letters
the-
from the Loving Dead, this is just page bloat, and it was probably done by either people on Fiverr who were given sub minimum wage, or alternatively, this is just shit that they had, like fan fiction they just kind of threw out there. There was no effort. There was no passion in this.
It's that with vampires, it can easily turn to a horrific night, and whatever happens afterwards, they are changed, as in the mortals.
Yeah, because I mean, having the girl you thought was just kind of kinky suddenly like try to rip your neck open,
And the
to
fact
drink all your blood.
that you got some sort of sexual thrill from that
I mean,
fucks you up.
yeah, like that's gonna fuck you up. Where it's like, god damn, that was
Or let's say you're going for your sugar daddy, and the sugar daddy takes you to this old, like, I didn't even know that this place was still open. It isn't, but they won't stop me.
they can't stop me.
And then you just go through the catacombs, and he just kind of casually starts talking to the skeletons, and sometimes you swear you hear answers.
And they do say that you can.
No, and then his
possibly
sister comes out and grabs him by the ear and calls him a cheating hoe.
Oh,
Because you
Oh.
didn't realize you were part of an affair with a Giovanni the entire time.
is that there could possibly be an exception with a paranormal romance, but there are trials and tribulations to it.
Right, a romance story, a good romance story, isn't just the romance. It's the relationships and
It's
and
not
how
just
the
the
characters evolve and
relationship.
interact.
Yep, it's how they evolve and interact. It's also somewhat tragic, and it can also be somewhat heartwarming.
Yeah.
Or it can just be pure fucking misery porn.
Or it can just be pure smut. Like there are levels to romances.
Also, yeah, actual rules. Holy shit. Here's all the merits and flaws. They came up with this at the last minute, and they probably stole half of them, I bet, from the book we're gonna very quickly look at next. So, one of the abilities is just the ability to nut.
Which, admittedly, as a vampire, is kind of difficult.
I feel like the ability to produce semen would go against the idea of undead because that is basically the closest thing of life in the body besides blood itself.
I mean, that's what we get. The
That's what the blush
Hafnirs.
of life allows you to do. Is cum.
Sorry, Dax. Yeah, you missed Ethan Klein and Hassan Piker's gay romance. I'm sorry.
I'm not liking any of this.
You also
This is
get
all
Soothed
very-
Beast because you got pegged so hard that your monster went to sleep. There's the Yandere ability. And the Spit Roast ability. They also have invented disciplines, which probably break the system because these people fucking hate mechanics. They got a forge person to fuck this up for everyone. Like Double Talk. Maw of
Can we talk
Ahriman.
about?
Well, you want to, okay, let's just skip. Fuck it.
I
We're
did-
going to
I-
something good now.
Yeah, like can we at least have a little bit of not shit in our lives tonight?
No,
Sure.
No.
but sure. By the way, note that there's less people that were on this project, and it's going to be an order of magnitude better.
This is one of the last books in the first edition of Requiem, if I remember correctly. It is very much at the tail end of the Twilight craze.
So if you're wondering,
2011.
we have finished looking through Bloodstained Love, and I rate that piece of shit a true namer. I don't count it as a book. Yes, there are things you can
Yes.
mine from it. There's a couple of characters that are at least interesting, and there's one or two bits where we laughed at, but that was not a book. That was a cry for help. Now we are looking at Strange Dead Love.
I
It's
just wanted to
strange,
say,
it's dead, and it is also love. They do not lie.
So after the introduction, they talk about it's
And I want to know,
exploring-
the introduction fiction is literally just this is a fucking romance novel, a cheap romance novel,
Yep.
and it works because that's the vibe they're trying to have you story tell.
Are we going to gloss over
Well-
the Forbidden Shadow Glug Glug? What?
The what?
No, not Nito. You have to explain this because no, we're not leaving unless it's that bad. What the fuck? Okay. Vampire performing the ceremony contemplates the darkness and silence and then unleashes their voice as loudly as possible, casting out the room for the darkness of the abyss. The character's mouth or another orifice becomes a void of inky blackness, destroying inanimate objects placed within for the matter of seconds.
Ah, yes, the shadow
The-
ass.
the power of one, the power of many.
You...
My asshole has become a black hole.
Canceling the ceremony requires the character to pay in flesh. They must stick a small portion of their body into an orifice. You can
Look,
I wanna die.
The only way. Listen, the
Dealing
only
1
way
point
to,
of superficial damage.
You can remove someone's foreskin with your ass. It's like a bottle opener.
Like, what the fuck?
I'm just envisioning the world's worst adult, worst adult conversion
world's
in
worst
bris.
bris. World's worst bris.
A vampire moil.
A vampire rabbi bends over
Uh,
and says, "Don't worry, it'll work. It'll work. I promise you."
It hurts me more than it hurts you.
What the fuck?
Oh God.
all right,
So back to the
So that was shit. Let's get back to
No,
good.
guys,
It doesn't have the black hole vaginas.
I found the perfect place where we can put this buck.
No.
Oh fuck! Oh, I'm so glad I decided to fucking pregame. I would have probably gotten angrier if I didn't. Why is
All
this
right,
in a
so-
romance book? Because Eddie holds a goal, and some people like to touch the sphere of annihilation.
In my ass.
Well, it doesn't have to be your ass. It can also be up your nose.
It's like, that must have made Twilight so fucking awkward when Jacob's asshole just became like a
Just
black
bec-
hole. He anally vored Bella.
Okay.
Okay. Let's.
The Strange Dead Love. Strange Dead Love.
I want to
again,
read
the
this
starting
opener.
fiction-
Let me. Introduction. The rustle of silk, spicy perfume, bare skin, cool to the touch, long neck, throbbing pulse, hot breath, an anticipatory quiver, then sharp fangs. All to feel a kiss. The kiss. One letter distinguishes the vampire's ecstasy from a mortal's. A single kiss may lead to a human orgasm. Another, a kindred kiss, similar or nothing alike. A lot more interesting just from those 2 paragraphs, huh?
And
Not
it's
all, yeah.
basically like it not only explores the differences, this is the thing, between the physical and emotional aspects of love, but also explores romance as a genre and all its seductive and passionate glory within the context of vampire. And they make a point here: romance isn't just about sex; it's about falling for someone so hard it hurts.
Yep.
It's not about denying a predator's true nature or seducing mortals in the name of love. Romance is all about emotion, how 2 or more characters build upon their feelings to experience a moment of intimacy.
Yeah.
And to vampires, there's nothing more intimate than the kiss.
Hold on. Well, the Dark Sun brought up ear, and it just reminded me of a great quote from Family Guy. Once you go black, you go deaf.
Right, the ear sex to not get
Yeah.
pregnant or whatever the fuck.
Yes, that one. But going back from that, yeah, as they're saying, romance is not about sex. Vampires, nothing is more intimate than the kiss.
Also, like horror, romance is both a genre and a mood, which is something that I love that this book points out. Romance is in so many works, in so many pieces, usually not the sole focus, but usually paired with, because it's also a mood as well as a genre.
I mean, look at
The
Star
the
Wars.
the,
It
the
is a,
greatest
it is a,
romance.
I'm sorry.
I was just about to say the greatest romance horror thriller I ever see was an anime called Future Diary, which is a shit show and a hodgepodge of bullshit, but I loved it all the way. If you know, you know. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like a great example I mentioned is there's these books called the Barsoom series. It was written by the guy who wrote Tarzan, and it is a sword and sorcery story. It is also kind of a sandals and sorcery, and at its core, it's a romance. The main character, legitimately through the love he feels for the woman he fell for, crosses a planet and overthrows a religion just for her to save her. And she
Yeah,
willingly forgoes and risks her own life multiple times for him too. Admittedly, it's more as a damsel in distress, but later books play with that as well. But the concept is there. It is romance is something that can complement as much. It by
right.
itself, what happens is people fail to understand how it has to change because this is the thing you're focusing on. And that stuff changes. It can grow hot, mellow out, grow cold and distant,
And
revive.
then
Because it
reignite, right.
because
It's
it
all about the pacing.
because if you're just trying to go there for the intimacy, congratulations, you've just made porn.
Congrats, you're like every other Hollywood writer who doesn't understand a stable relationship.
And they kind
Wait,
of this is a very very good like the novel within the book is like, "Oh, this is the cheap trashy smut I want."
Yep, and they have little sections like that. And then what they do is they go into props and themes and
Right.
how this
I will
sort of stuff
quote here
works.
actually here. Love cannot accept what it is. Everyone on earth that cries out against kindness, compassion, and intelligence, everything that leads to compromise. Love demands the impossible, the absolute, the sky on fire, inexhaustible springtime, life after death, and death itself transfigured into eternal life.
Which is a really fitting quote for this book.
Yes. They fucking cooked with this. They then go into like intimacy and they basically go like, all right, so sex is one thing, right? Then they kind of go into a bit of a thing where it's like, blood bonds is also very important.
They mentioned the kiss, which is a major aspect, and then, yeah, blood bonds. A powerful attorney doesn't bother responding to a kindred's repeated but polite invitations. Instead of abandoning as intended, the venture decides to force his will by dominating. When that fails, you have to use the vinculum. The use of disciplines may be sporadic or calculated, and like sex or a kiss, will affect one or more of the characters, even if the victim doesn't remember what happened. Blood bond, on the other hand, is likely to permanently change. Think of the blood bond as the stages of fidelity for a kindred pursuing their thrall. For the dead do not easily part with their blood.
Make no mistake, blood bonds and disciplines force intimacy rather than allowed to flourish naturally. Grounds for something much less pleasant than romance.
compare that to what we just talked about, which they were saying, you could give multiple people the blood bond.
They
And don't
talk about
forget the
this.
black hole.
Well, yeah, they talk about this in Requiem. Is one of the concepts is that if you have two vampires that are in love or obsession enough to be blood bonded to each other, it's a very dangerous thing because there is nothing that they care about more than one another. You can get an
Nothing.
idea of how terrifying that is when you're talking about elder vampires.
And also, I think about this: the Masquerade is no longer as important.
Yeah,
That too. Also, I love this aspect because they also don't just talk about love as in the romantic "I want to fuck you" sense. It's also the things like filial love or kinship love. Because they mentioned
yes.
there like cases. An example I like is an herbalist who wanted to end their life learns to value it because a crone taught them to find life in the tendrils of a mandragora plant. Or when a vampire or when a gangrel is stuck basically eating animals, a member of the Lengthiac Sanctum proves to them they're no beast. They're still thinking, they're still a person.
I just forgot to. Requiem was the reboot vampire. Did they like make any new clans for this too? Like,
Oh, the clans were
Yes.
how
mostly chucked
similar are the
out.
rules? How similar are the fucking rules for this?
Almost identical.
You can port things over with a. They even released a vampire conversion guide if you wanted to bring things from
Basically,
one
rule of
edition over.
thumb is ones no longer remove successes. The bar to actually get a success is higher at 8 to compensate for it.
However, all tens explode.
Yes. And ones only factor in for what's called dramatic failure, where you get no successes.
No successes, and you can either take a dramatic failure, or if you have no successes, mostly ones and only one dice. Usually is dramatic. Like dramatic is you really fucked up.
It's like going further into this book. Like there's
They have
different
a whole
options,
thing about like options for like what you want to
The
do with
concept of
like props
soulmate.
for
They
a
talk
game if you're trying
about
to do a romance
soulmates.
game. A relaxed masquerade.
Oh, another thing they
Blood
show is
being addictive and attuned to someone. Blood substitutes might be a thing, and that kind of like
and
makes it.
they give mechanics like for the blood substitute mechanically. Blood substitute isn't fulfilling as fresh vitae. It satiates the kindred beast at 1.5 the normal rate. It does not create ghouls, foster blood bonds, or work in rituals. Exception for this is second tier within the coils of blood. Introducing this option for feeding will alter kindred society in a number of ways, as it forces vampires to take a long, hard look at the requiem,
Yeah,
as
it
well as
might.
the issue of how to produce it and distribution.
And also, diablerie becomes much more of a taboo.
Yep. Also, the thing I like is they show how you can customize because again, the whole.
It's even more serious.
Can you guys hear me?
Like crime because you don't need that blood, right? You don't need to kill another kindred for blood.
Can you guys hear me?
It doesn't matter your blood potency.
Hello?
Or if you can't find it, they give an example of like a musician bears her neck because her kindred can't find an alternative vitae when she desperately needs it in a theme of sacrifice. You
Yeah,
can see really how that romance would develop.
Guys, can you hear me?
right. There is the chosen one, which is just classic. I like the cursed heirloom one. This cursed object that's forcing you to be human again. Or that's attracting someone to a vampire. That's actually a really good idea.
So for
They have another one, which is remember the whole like love is illegal in this domain. They have a whole thing about this, and they have the idea of the fourth tradition, which
so
is that you are forbidden from embracing out of love. If you violate this commandment, both you and your child forfeit your claims to the blood.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So there's a great.
So what happened is I have dropped from. Hello. You're gonna hear the Discord a bit because something fucky has happened. I think it's an error in the priorities. Oh, that is infuriating. Discord's throwing a baby tantrum. Lovely. All right. I'm gonna try to fix this, but I already really like how they write this. They talk about things like soulmates, and I'm going to try something. I'm gonna kill my Discord and fire back on. That might unbreak everything. Hey, caramba. That's what I'm doing. Don't worry. I just thought they were so into this book because it's a lot better than the other books that we read. Hey. Hey guys, guess what?
How much did you lose out of that?
Nothing, because it was only on Discord's end, and I was wondering why you guys couldn't hear me.
Oh,
That's always fun.
Hashtag Discord
I thought
moment.
okay, so it's only on
I'm a-
Discord's end, and then how the hell are you able to hear us on the stream?
I don't know.
Oh no. What the fuck?
I'm gonna say it's not a Dice Scum episode without some sort of technical difficulty from Discord.
I'm trying to figure out how that actually works.
That was weird.
Magic.
But-
That's really weird, and it's creeping me the fuck out.
But you want to know the thing? I wanted to mention this because I really love what they mentioned early on, which was the concept of the one, where they talk about things like soulmate. Like they talk about the different ways of romance happens before they talk about how you can change the setting. And I love that.
Wait, there's different ways to do romance besides adding partners?
But by the way, Not Nito actually thought that you guys are fucking with me, and that's originally what I thought too. I wouldn't
Yeah.
have been surprised, but you know,
Yeah, like there's a lot of this, and then the next section is shards.
cursed
Okay,
heirlooms,
here's
shards,
a
yeah.
few. Here's an idea of how we get into the pitch for a chronicle of like I want to run a romance game, but I don't know where to start. Here,
And the first one is about desire, as it being a potent force that can destroy as much as it creates. And the way it works is players are discussing their concepts, put the character names in a bag or a bowl. Each player draws out a name, and that's the object of their secret desire. So, the character should not only be trying to deal with the night-to-night troubles of a young coterie, but also their secret passions.
Coterie, not
also,
coterie.
the fun bit about the first one is that it's literally a reflection on romantic comedies, and they give one of the best puns I've seen so far in these books. Meet the Sires.
I mean, they could have done. I guess another way you could have done guess who's coming to dinner.
Yeah, that's another good one too. The Taming of the Beast, of course. Taming the Shrew. And then
What's Cougar Town a reference to?
I don't know, but I kind of want
Cougar
to.
Town. Oh, I know what that is. The idea is basically it's just a bunch of older vamps.
Oh boy,
Yeah.
vampire milfs.
Milfs and
Vampire
Dilfs,
Milfs.
yeah.
The
But yeah,
Prince's
the Prince's Child is actually a really interesting one.
He's created a steward child to hold his dynasty. The child is special, also young and fragile. He'll need guidance. He'll need help. It's got to be you. It's about courtly romance.
Yes.
So dealing with the prince, suitors, embracing for love. Any Carthian government is defined by a political experiment. When that experiment works, in this case, a city by council with limited voting for the population, it becomes stable. What's a Carthian society do? Well, in this case, challenge other traditions among other converts. Your coterie has been charged by the city council to embrace for love as a challenge to the Latium Sanctum's doctrine. But how do you embrace for love on command? How do you fall in love? Is it even what they mean?
Yeah,
So-
That's another thing they
Govern-
do. They reference the
government
different groups.
Government mandated romance.
They also reference the different groups, which is nice. It's something the other book didn't even think of doing. Not really, other than fuck Camarilla.
Literally.
Kick-ass heroic outcast, which is like, all right.
Well, actually, no, I like this. One of the characters thinks she's found the perfect girl. They'll soon discover that beloved is already dead. Is she kindred, a ghost, or something else?
Living dead girl.
see.
Romancing the dragon, of course.
There's also the estate, which is the hidden old mansion.
Yeah, I like the one with the plague for a dowry, which is actually a really clever idea of like relationships at all are illegal in this city.
Also, the werewolf servants, the Wild War.
Yeah, they go hard on that one.
Because this was written not even a couple of years after Underworld as well.
Right. This is 2011. So
Underworld and Twilight were both big things in here. So
It's saying,
why not?
and also, Beast No More. Would you accept love to rid yourself of the beast? Would you allow one of your coterie to break every tradition to be human again?
Which is the idea that Golconda comes through love, which was mentioned in the last book, but they actually given a way behind it, you know?
well, see what happened was they in their process of trying to strip the flesh and wear it like a fucking mannequin or whatever. I don't know. What type of World of Darkness critter just wears the flesh of the thing it wants to be and imitate them?
Promethean?
Yeah, I could see a Centimanus Promethean doing that.
Oh, and the next one's amazing, by the way.
The-
The opening section to it.
The Jilted Lovers?
Yes. The in character bit, thunder cracks, all that. I'm sorry, but I found someone else. I've seen you frenzy, you know.
Oh,
Your
no,
beast
it was
disgusts me.
no, it was here's your heart is just broken, crushed by a lover who dumped you for a goddamn thrall.
Yeah.
Your beast disgusts me. Your beast? What's up with that? She liked you just fine last night, maybe even left you. Who's to say her beast isn't any less monstrous than yours? At least Kevin doesn't have one. Thank God he's human. Kevin.
Kevin.
The name rolls around
your
tongue.
tongue.
Are you going to let her talk to you that way? Are you going to let your food humiliate you like this? Hell, you don't even know whose thrall Kevin is.
But it doesn't matter because you're one of the damned, and you have no problem letting Kevin know who she should be afraid of. You stand up, the rain stops, your head clears. Who are you? A vampire or a fucking victim? Not only are you going to eat Kevin alive, you're going to make her watch, and then you're going to devour her too. Won't that be fun?
Very fun. Very fun opener.
I like that opener.
Because it shows, again, you're still a monster.
Yeah.
It's very thrilling. Yeah, no.
The mighty Kevin.
just
Yeah.
trying
The mighty.
This
I'm
is
gonna-
actually.
I'm gonna prove it to her. I'm gonna kill her boyfriend and then eat her too. How will she like that?
Actually, no, this is the origin story for what happened to Kevin. This is Kevin's origin story.
Son of a bitch.
He survived this as a vampire.
Well, no, he wasn't a ghoul before. So
He wasn't a ghoul in the first place. He's just angry that she found him mortal.
Oh wait, no, I like this though. Page 48. Advice on storytelling. As with any game setting, talking with everyone about your before having a paranormal romance game goes a long way to a satisfying outcome. Most games begin with establishing social contracts. Are
they
there
literally
implicit
go
or
into
explicit agreements?
I fucking love this. They go into the idea, the idea of the fucking social contract as how it applies to role playing games.
But also, instead of like you need this thing or you know this X card or this sort of thing,
Well, you
it's
see, this was written
it's
before.
explicit and implicit.
This was written before bondage clowns ruined everything. So what happened was there was this guy. He wrote Sorcerer, and a bunch of self-important assholes were on this web zone called The Forge. And for some reason, a lot of them were really into BDSM, mainly because the guy who ran it was into BDSM. And for some reason, they think it's totally normal to get and induct new members by using the same conventions as an actual bondage club, up to and including consent forms, what allows you to get hard, what you're a bit concerned about, and no, please don't. And you even come up with things like safe words, because they're all trash and they don't understand that this was the thing for a long time if you had the basic ability to fucking talk to people. That I like that they point out in this that you don't even need to do all that. You fucking make an arrangement and talk about this shit like a person.
You make a social contract like normal human beings.
They
Hell,
do
you
bring
can
up
have it in writing if you want to
Yeah.
about your guidelines.
You could write it. You could write it with a you know those pens that look like quills. You could do that and use the color that looks like blood as like a
Oh, that
blood
would be-
contract.
Oh, that'd be fun. But they even have like options of like yes, if you're doing a one-on-one, which I think the other book
That
did as like a
is
small
key.
subsection.
No, that's important because a one-on-one, it's a lot. You can do a lot of weird, intimate shit if you do it.
Well, yeah,
that way.
they do bring up like that you can be more intimate. There's no requirement, but role playing can be for two people to explore emotions, situations, or actions through the characters which they may not, for one reason or another, be able to delve in real life. This could also be used to enrich or support real life relationships.
They also, I like this that they mention these ideas of how to build tension in a game and atmospheric clues and things like that. It's really, this is actually a section where you could pull this out and throw this into just this is just really good storyteller advice in general.
So
Like
I'm
they
already
give us
going
like
to rate
yeah,
this book good.
yeah, it's like
It's not amazing,
the
but it does what it needs
yeah,
to.
exploration of a romantic relationship. Who was the character's first crush? Were they married? Have they ever broken up? What's their preference?
What's
What's
their
their
hang-ups?
perspective?
Because there's also what's their trauma. Because
And then
sometimes
they
a
include,
previous relationship is a nightmare.
a semi-template, sort of like how ghouls are. This would be on page 56 starting. Because there's a lot of they actually include rules, they include a lot of stuff. This is the idea behind this is the heroic mortal. I want to play an action hero in World of Darkness. Not someone with supernatural powers, but
Just a guy. Just a guy.
You do add a single dot to any attribute, add a single dot to any skill. Just add a single bonus.
So what we're
Right.
trying to say is that Beast the Primordial never needed to happen because this book already did heroes.
Well, some of these boosts are really good. There's add an attribute, add a skill, add a couple specialties, add modifiers to their defense or their health, willpower, even merits. Supernatural boost, which is actually a really clever one.
Which is
Which is
their ability to
take anything from the vampire book that's a supernatural discipline. Give them the first dot in it.
could be an
Do it
inherent
with another
ability
book even.
because it passed down through the family line, exposure to a mysterious event. It's basically a superpower.
Yeah,
I'm just
it's
envisioning.
a low-level superpower.
I'm just envisioning having one rank in Fortitude, so you're essentially unbreakable.
Yeah.
Or alternatively, I'm trying to think. What's a really goofy discipline you can do one dot with?
Arguably, the one that's the best at one dot is celerity, because you can do some real fucking tricks with it with your speed.
No, but
But
what's
yes,
the
they made
goofiest?
they made Dudes of Legend into an actual template that isn't shit.
And I do want to point out Score Killer, like the bleed section in the last book, without the pretentiousness and recognition of social contract and boundaries.
See, what happened was
Right.
these people actually knew how to write because they were what we call veterans, and they were not self-righteous assholes from a horrible web zone led by a bondage man.
And I mean, the nice one with this too is that they have this through line of an actual romance novel, and it's not a shit one either.
I mean, it's very bodice ripping. It's kind of a Penny Dreadful, but not in a bad way. It's slop. You know what you wanted when you got
Yeah,
this.
you know, if you want it, and that's the genre they're trying to emulate, and I enjoy that.
Like they said at the end,
They're not above it.
His voice dropped until it was barely more than a whisper. I leaned in closer to make out his words. I owe you now, Alicia, and come hell or high water, I will find a way to repay you. And as his lips met mine, I suddenly had 1,000 delightful and depraved thoughts about how Gabriel could work off his debt.
Yep.
That's the sort of shit that you want out of a stupid vampire romance.
So
And
I will rate this book good because every section of it is useful. It's actually interesting enough that I would actually recommend look up. It is called Vampire the Requiem Strange Dead Love, simply because it also gives you ideas and rule sets for interesting takes on how you can handle the world setting. Because they mention things like a relaxed masquerade, which means that vampires can at least be out in the open, if not tolerated, if known. Or weird werewolf slaves, if that's your fucking fetish. Or alternatively, love is the way to Golconda. You could use all of it. It's all interesting.
all of it's good,
and it has
all
great
of it has
splats. It has great adventure hooks.
And the other bit is even the first chapter is really useful for talking about how vampires view like romance and these themes and
It's a tool.
ideas. It's a toolkit, and it's a really good toolkit.
Because even if they're monsters, they still feel, even if not like they used to when alive.
Right.
I will say the one thing that the other book did that I thought was neat was like, hey, what do the creeps do for love? And having like all that like weird like eldritch shit was pretty fascinating
It
at the
was
very
pretty-
least.
it was pretty
good,
vanilla.
but that wasn't enough.
It was pretty vanilla
Especially
too.
when you've got to remember the
At
gloves
least
thing.
tried. All
Nah,
right, and out of everything, like fuck. All right.
it was the only
that
time they
regard,
tried, and it's not enough for. I'm sorry. You cannot divert. You cannot change me on this one. I am rating
Yeah.
Bloodstained Love a true namer. I don't count it as an RPG book.
It-
There is things in it you could probably mine, but they're so few, so far between, and it's so soulless and poorly
It is a
constructed.
guide. It is a guide to tropes of bad fan fiction.
It literally copies from TV tropes, multiple pages in a row.
Meanwhile, this book doesn't do that and has a better explanation of romantic ideas and genres.
It understands
will
that
s-
it is not just a genre, it's a mood.
I'm very disappointed in both books that we read because when it came to romance, none of them had a scenario with what are you doing with a vampire in a child's body? I want my lolly romance, damn it.
No.
I swear to God, Biggie. I brought up the goddamn Boston Cop earlier. I'm not revisiting that.
So, yeah, all in all, I'm glad that I was drunk. I'm gonna be honest, I think I would have probably hated the first book more.
I'm glad you
Yeah.
all voted for it. It was very funny.
It was very painful for Adam, and that was very funny.
Honestly,
This
no, you guys hated it more than I did.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. But like that book is a true namer. It is.
I don't-
They're the polar opposites of others too. It's like the first book was sex for the sake of sex. Well, the other was, yeah, here's how you integrate that into a fucking story.
It's
So-
literally if you told me that this came from a writer's guide to romance, I would not be shocked at the second book.
The second book, yeah. The first book, I would say, what, from Hollywood? Is this the person who constantly comes up with the romance subplots in your fucking TV shows? Fire them. Jesus.
This book has
for those-
so many
Also, for
good
those
things about
wondering,
it.
the true name rating is a reference to a class called the True Namer from Dungeons and Dragons 3rd edition. It was introduced in Tome of Magic, and it was a unique class in that it got worse every time. Every level you took, you got worse until level 20, where you can chain solars, which are a very powerful attack. It's shit. It is not a class, much like how this was not a book.
Didn't it like literally lose like utility too when it leveled up as well?
Oh, its signature ability got worse as you leveled up. Yeah. It
The
is
exact
not a
opposite
book.
of how the game is designed.
Yeah, it's not a book. What we read was not a book. The little booklet there where Discord, the booklet we read after was so good, Discord wanted you to buy it. That's why it interfered.
Right.
I think
Like,
the best
it's
part
only-
is too, where
That's the thing. This is what, half the page count?
One
It
third,
contains
actually.
about twice, like a third the page count, and contains at least twice the material.
Because it
A
didn't
third
need
the
any
page
sort of
count,
pomp.
twice the material, and I don't think there's any bad pages unless you don't like bodice rippers, and even then, you can skip those.
Yeah, that's just fiction. That's the other thing. There's less game material in this one theoretically, but it's all more useful game material.
No, there's actually more game material. Now, what the other book has a lot of is gay material, which, hey, fine, swing your boat. I don't care. I don't fucking care. It's a little weird, though, that they're all gay.
Yeah.
A little weird. But, yeah, that was terrible. Because I knew it was an interesting book, next week we're gonna do Ars Mag. Oh wait, it's not Ars Magica.
No. I have Daggerheart.
I'd rather get boiled
Eh.
alive than do Daggerheart right now.
Adam would rather drink more than do Daggerheart.
Not just normal drink. I'd rather drink toilet duck after ensuring that I had bleach before then. maybe it's not Ars Magic. Order of Hermes. Maybe Orders
The
of
Order of
Hermes.
Hermes book could be good.
We could do Order of Hermes.
We're really going on a wad kick then, though.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting, and it's interesting to see how they fucked it up in 5th edition.
It's what the people want, apparently.
So if I remember correctly, Order of the
Los
Order of the
Pueblos,
Hermes-
no, the peoples, they want it.
Order of the Hermes is who I go with if I want to make a Gundam, from what I understand. Correct?
No, that's Sons of Ether.
Sons of Ether is what you want. But I'm thinking Order, because it also was the runner-up. It actually almost beat this book.
Yeah.
That's
This
the other
book
reason.
at least gave everybody the exposure to Strange Dead Love, which I think is like one of the most underrated books of the Requiem line. It's genuinely very good.
Yeah, so next week, Order of Hermes. Week after, just because I think that's going to be too interesting a book, probably something fucking terrible like Moonpunks, because I have that on the back burner, and I've mentioned it like I think 2 years in a row. It's like it's a cancer on my RPG collection.
Moonpunks, the book about punks on the moon.
Maybe. I don't know. I know Order of Hermes, though. So thanks for joining us on this romantic stream. I'm fucking not quite 4 sheets to the wind. I'm 4 glasses to the hole. But, yeah. Night, y'all.
Night.
Night. Buy Strange Dead Love. You won't regret it.